big dream. Πίστευε πριν μου και έκανε όλοι. Από το μηδέν δεν θα μας πίστευε τότε κανείς. Όλοι φάγαν τη λύρα. Έτρεχα να ανεβάσω την πίστα. Τρέχω να νευράω τη γειτονιά μου. Και θέλω να αποφύγω την καμπίνα. Μου βγάζαν τόσα φράγκα τα λεφτά μου. Γιατί ήμουν ανήλικος, όλα τα βλάτα την εφορία. Γιατί είχα σοφία στο πίσω δρανείο σαν να είμαι παιδεία. Ζω να έχω 2 ζωές και πέθανα 1000 φορές. Αν πίσω την πόλη με μπλέστα, ευτυχισμό αν το θες. Ζω να έχω 2 ζωές και πέθανα 1000 φορές. Αν πίσω την πόλη με μπλέστα, ευτυχισμό αν το θες. Η ζωή μου μυστήριο που άρω. Μόνο που ξέρω θέλω τα dinero. Είμαστε τρέχω, τα μαζεύω. Δουλεύω και πίνω, ποτέ δεν χαζεύω. Δεν συμβιβάζομαι, απλά περιμένω. Πονάει ο χρόνος αν φύγει το τρένο. Θέλω με το χιάς, ανεβώ, κατεβαίνω. Την πέρασα, ξέρω, δεν καταλαβαίνουν, μάτια μου πεσμένα, μα βλέπω το στόχο. Ένιωθα μόνος μου, γύρω μου, ο κόσμος μου το δείξω μπρο μου. Πάρα πολλά στο μυαλό μου, όλα αυτά για το καλό μου. Για το καλό μου, βλέπω τον αληθινό εαυτό μου. Ανεβαίνει το team, λένε δεν λούλου πως είμαι, έχω το big dream. Πίστευε μπρο μου και έκανε όλοι. Από το μηδέν, δεν θα μας πίστευε τότε κανείς. Όλοι φάγαν τη λύση.
Καλησπέρα κοντινέ. Καλησπέρα, καλημέρα. Hello chat. What's up. Τι κάνουμε, πώς είμαστε? Άντε να ξεκινήσει, περιμένουμε.
Η ζωή μου μαζί σου είναι ευλογημένη. Είναι στο σπίτι μου γυμνή και περιμένει. Εγώ και εσύ ποτέ δεν θα γίνουμε ξένοι, αφού όλα τα ξέρεις. Δεν θέλω να σου λέω πολλά, μεγάλωσα μες στη γειτονιά. Για σένα κάνω τόσα πολλά, για σένα πάω τα λεφτά. Το βλέμμα σου μου κάνει μαγικά, στη τσέπη μου έχω πάντα τα κλειδιά. Δεν πρέπει δεν θα κάνουμε παιδιά, τα κόβω όλα μέσα με ροδιά. Ξεκινήκα γάμο λέει την πόλη για τα φράγκα σου παγώ ως θες. Τα στελίδια να τις φέρω να έχουν όλα τους επάνω πέτρες. Τον ωκεανό και εσύ σου και εσένα έτοιμο σου πάμε διακοπές. Κάνω για σένα ένα πλάνο. Ξενύχτησα πάνω μου λίγο πριν πεθάνω. Τι ζήτησα baby πες μες στα αεροπλάνο. Δεν κοίταξα όταν της είπα θα το κάνω. Το ορκιστικά όλο το στρες. Όταν μου λες πως μόνο εμένα θες, πες μου απλά τι θες γάμα το χθες. Γάμα το χθες. Λες θα μ' ξεκινήκα μου λέει την πόλη για τα φράγκα σου πάω ως θες. Τα θελίδια να τις φέρω να έχουν όλα τους επάνω πέτρες. Τον ωκεανό και εσύ σου και εσένα έτοιμο σου πάμε διακοπές. Ξεκινήκα μου λέει την πόλη για τα φράγκα σου πάω ως θες. Τα θηλίδια να τις φέρω να έχουν όλα τους επάνω πέτρες. Τον ωκεανό και εσύ σου και εσένα έτοιμο σου πάμε διακοπές. Κάνω για σένα ένα πλάνο. Ξενύχτησα πάνω μου λίγο πριν πεθάνω. Τι ζήτησα baby πες μες στα αεροπλάνο. Δεν κοίταξα όταν της είπα θα το κάνω. Το ορκιστικά.
Καλησπέρα σε όλους chat. What's up, τι κάνουμε, πώς είμαστε? NAE East, βασικά NAE Central. NAE Central, ή αλλιώς είναι East όπως θέλετε πείτε το. FNC's Major είναι hits. Εντάξει, θα μιλάμε λίγο έτσι και αγγλικά τώρα γιατί έχουμε Αμερική να δούμε. Εντάξει. Έχουμε Peterbotio, έχουμε Peterbot να δούμε, έχει πράγμα σήμερα, έχει content το σημερινό. Δυστυχώς, την ώρα που σας ανέβαζα την ψηφοφορία να ανοίξω για το NAE ήταν το last game και σκεφτόμουν να ανοίξω για το last game ή να μην ανοίξω, αλλά μετά θα είχαμε 1 με 2, θα είχαμε σχεδόν 2 ώρες break, οπότε σκέφτηκα μην ανοίξω τώρα κατευθείαν τότε και μετά δεν έχουμε τι να κάνουμε. Οπότε ναι, γι' αυτό είπα να ξεκινήσει σιγά σιγά και μετά να ανοίξω. Οπότε ναι. Περιμένω να ξεκινήσει τώρα. Καλησπέρα σε όλους. Καλησπέρα σε αυτόν που μπήκε, καλησπέρα Κονίνε. Καλησπέρα στον Κονίνο. Εντάξει. Οπότε ναι. Καλησπέρα γενικά σε όλους. 2 likes. Vamos. Και σήμερα δεν είμαι μόνος μου. Έχω group, έχω παρέα. Σήμερα έχουμε Νταγκίνη, Κονίνο. Ωραία. Και ένα φίλο του Κονίνου. Αυτό. Κάτι θα τους ανοίξω.
Δεν μπορώ να αλλάξω. Πάει το βίντεο, πάει το βίντεο από την Τουρκία.
Έλα, πάει το βίντεο.
Για να εγώ δεν πιστεύω να μας ακούνε, να μην ξεφτυλιστούμε ρε μάλλον και μετά στην Αθήνα.
Σ' ακούει η γιαγιά του Αρίτου.
Για να έχω κλειστό μιλάμε για τσιπούκια.
Α, εντάξει, έλα, ωραία, καλά, ωραία.
Όχι, εντάξει, γελάκο, απλά ο φίλος είναι ανώμαλος.
Για πλάκα το πάμε, για πλάκα το πάμε.
Ο φίλος είναι ανώμαλος.
Κάτι κατάλαβα.
Για πλάκα εντάξει, ξαμιλάμε.
Άρχισε.
Ναι.
Άρχισε ρε.
Ναι, σε 4 λεπτά ξεκινάνε τα games. Άντε επιτέλους.
Ωραία, Χρήστο, πάμε να του chill το 1v1 μία.
Ωραία, μπούσι, λέω το πίστεψε.
Έλα.
Θα πας στο Βιέννα.
Τι είπες, Χρήστο?
Δεν έχεις follow, λέω ότι μ' απέτα.
Ιούλιος 4. Υπάρχει.
Άντε 3,5
Την έχω, γιατί?
Είδες το story που ανέβασε με τη Medstar.
Όχι, δεν βλέπω. Ναι, άλλη ώρα δεν είχα, να βλέπω τα story του Μαυρίκου.
Είναι γκιάντ.
Ένας πω η Πατραγιανής. Είναι αλήθεια ότι έχουν fight με τους Σπαρτιάτες.
Δεν ξέρω, μπρο.
Τι πολεμάτε με σπαθιά.
Τι
Βάλε το 1v1
σπαθιά.
του chill, μπρο. Του chill,
Ο Μενέλαος ζει ακόμα ρε.
Κάτι το έχω εγώ. 200... Shift,
Έλα σου πω, μόνο λάβε ρε, μόνο λάβε. Φωνάξω εγώ τον Περικλή και θα σας κάνει.
Ένα build 400 season 3.
Για να
Season 3.
Γιώργο, πόσο χρόνο είσαι?
15-16.
16.
Κορίνο, τι πεις, ένα Βιέννα.
Ένα βίανα του chill θα παίξουμε τώρα έτσι λίγο, επειδή λέει ότι έχει βάλει rank system και τέτοια.
Τώρα μπορεί κάποιος να μου κάνει κοινή άμα είναι να κάνουμε ένα spectate μέχρι να ξεκινήσει.
Θα κολλάμε, έχει δύο. Για Χρήστο,
Να κάνει ο Χρήστος,
Χρήστο,
αν δεν κολλάει.
Χρήστο πήγαινε στο group, Βλέπεις που έχει πάει που σου λέει υποχώρηση στο group, που σου λέει
Του
τάτο.
στείλα...
Ναι, ρε.
Ωραία, πάτα αυτό να ανοίξει την κίνη σου για να τη βλέπει ο Γιαννάκος.
Ωραία.
Νικό,
Βάλτε το λίγο έτσι μέχρι να ξεκινήσει. Ωραία. Όταν ξεκινήσει θα σου πω.
Μαλάκα. Ξέρεις μπρο ποιος είναι ο λόγος που δεν έκανε κουάλ ο Μαλιμπούγκα μπρο και ο Βίγκο.
Ποιος είναι ο λόγος, πες.
Μαλάκα τους γάμισε το Χριστόφορο Κολόμβο, μαλάκα ο Σάρ και ο Τίνι μπρο. Για να τους ξέρεις.
Πού το είδες?
Πάω παλιά μέσα στον κόλο μπρο. Στο TikTok. Πουρ Βίκο. Πουρ Μαλιμπούγκαν Βίκο. Ο Μαλιμπούκα. Θα φωνάζει αυτό το άλλο το βίντεο.
Πακεδόνι,
Πού πες
εγώ.
Ωραία, πάμε Χριστό. Έβαλα rank system.
Σπαρτιάτες είναι αυτοί ρε μαλάκα, τι λέω.
Το rank system ρε μαλάκα που λέει ότι διαβαλέ. Εγώ δεν το βλέπω πουθενά. Είναι σκάμερ. Κάμερ.
Γιαννάκο.
Έλα, πες.
Κατέβηκε χθες στο Ηράκλειο,
Ναι.
κάτω εδώ. Και μαλάκα προχωράω κάτω και ακούω έναν. Τι να κάνει.
Ακούστηκε ένα
Πίου,
μπαμ.
μιάου, μιάου,
Από
πίου.
Κρήτη είστε.
Εγώ όχι.
Δεν πάμε καλά εδώ πέρα.
Εγώ όχι.
Δεν ξέρω γιατί το
δεν
κάνουμε
γίνεις.
αυτό.
Ο
Πιου, μαλάκα.
Τάκινης είναι από...
Ντάγκινης ρε.
Ντάγκινης, ναι.
Ντάγκινης.
Οκ.
Για περιοχή.
Ντάγκινης.
Από την
Ντάγκισταν.
Κρήτη στο Ηράκλειο.
Και μισός Νταγκιστανός είμαι. Ντάγκισταν. Όχι, εντάξει,
Ντάγκισταν.
πλάκα.
Τον έπαιζα μαύρη. Αμπρ.
Είμαι Αφρικανό
Έχω
ρε,
κι άλλο shotgun,
Αφρικανός.
Χριστό. Δεν χρειάζεται να το κάνεις load.
Ξέρετε ότι οι Αμερικάνοι είναι
Του
Ινδιάνοι.
Οδηγάω τα χιλιάρι στον ένα μου το τσιβί.
Ο δικός μοτροτσιπί.
Τη υγεία του Μπιλί.
Τι
200
της κάνεις
Χρήστος
για
πέθανε.
την πύλη.
Σε 3, 2, 1 Χρήστος πέθανε. Από full damage.
Για να έχω, ξέρεις τι για την πύλη,
Τι είναι για να κοπεταγεί.
Ναι, κατάλαβα.
Ο Αγγελάρης την ξέρει ερωτικά όμως.
Το είναι...
Ξέρει ο Αγγελάρης, ξέρει.
6-7.
Ρε μαλάκα κόλλημα. Δεν ξέρω κανονικά είναι μαλάκα.
Ξέρει καλά
Κονούν
αυτός.
σιτάρι.
Της
Πάμε έτσι,
του έχει πάρει κάτι παιχνίδια.
Ο Κονίνος πιστεύω σε κάνα 2-3 χρόνια έτσι όπως παίζει το Creative έτσι θα βρεθεί και στα hits κάποια στιγμή.
Έλα, θα κάνεις κανένα game ρε Κονίνο.
Τι να κάνω κανένα game.
Πας ανέβεις.
Bro, για να ανέβω εγώ να πάω FNCS και τέτοια πρέπει να πάω PC, bro.
Γιατί δεν παίρνεις PC ρε μανάκι.
Είμαι κάπου σαν δέσποτος.
Έλα να σε κάνω υιοθεσία.
και τα
Ναι,
console.
bro, δεν είναι κάτι. Είχα μαζέψει λεφτά ρε bro, αλλά τα πήρα σε πατίνι.
Είσαι μαλάκας. Πόσα
Όχι,
έδωσες?
καλό είναι το πατίνι. 650 για πατίνι, 750 πες με όλα τα άλλα που έχω πάρει.
Έλα ρε μαλάκα, πισάρα θα παίρνεις.
Ναι ρε, με 750 ευρώ, γι' αυτό. Bro,
Δεν το έχεις μετανιώσει ρε.
όχι, επειδή και το πατίνι έβγαινε βόλτα, τώρα άρχισε φόρμα, bro. 2 εβδομάδες.
2 εβδομάδες, ρε εγώ σε ξέρω 2 μήνες και παίζεις Fortnite.
Το είχα κουιτάρει ρε bro το Fortnite εννοώ. Γι' αυτό πήρα πατίνι, επειδή δεν έπαιζε Fortnite.
Ασχολείσαι πιο πολύ. Ασχολείσαι πιο πολύ τώρα. Εννοείς.
Ναι, τώρα. Όχι, παλιά δεν έπαιζα καθόλου, ρε, σου λέω, όχι παλιά. Για 3 μήνες σου λέω που ήταν chapter, ένα chapter που ήταν για 5 μήνες αυτό το chapter, δεν μ' άρεσε καθόλου. Και είχα κουιτάρει σου λέω. Για 3 μήνες δεν έπαιζα καν Fortnite αυτό το στήριο. Έπαιζα Roblox και τέτοια. Και ήμουν
Πες
στο
ότι εγώ έχω
Fortnite.
κουιτάρει για 4 χρόνια, 5. Εγώ έχω παίξει την πρώτη σεζόν και στο παλιό μου account έχω Sky Trooper. Την season 1.
Το μαύρο, τον Skull Trooper.
Ναι ρε, τον είχα πάρει τότε. Άστα, ήταν ωραία χρόνια.
Πόσο
Μικρά
χρόνο
γραφικά. Πόσο να ήμουν, το 17 δεν ήτανε.
Ναι.
7 χρονών. Ο πρώτος μου υπολογιστής ήταν όταν έπαιξε. Σε αυτό. Στον πρώτο μου υπολογιστή. Όπου... Ναι ρε, έπαιζα από PC ρε, χτίσα κιόλας, εδώ δεν χτίζω τίποτα. Έχω ξεχάσει να χτίσω. Δηλαδή να βάλω το πληκτρολόγιο έχω ξεχάσει, δεν θυμάμαι.
Εσύ παλιά ήσουν καλός.
Έκανα και μποξάκια, τους έχω πάρει πολλά victory. Έπαιξε και FNCS και τέτοια. Πώς τα λένε, event, πώς τα λέγαμε τότε. Τουρνουά, δεν λεγόντουσαν FNCS. Και τώρα είναι βλακή αυτοί οι χάρτες που έχουν κάνει τώρα. Με τα τόσα γραφικά, εγώ έπαιζα με μικρό υπολογιστή και έπαιζα τα γραφικά μπάλα όμως. Και τώρα το έχουν κάνει να μην μπορεί και κολλάς όμως, θες κατά γραφικών. Καλώς.
Ο Μπλου είναι πλήρες κουτιασμένος.
Απλώς έχουν γάμισει τις χάρτες, είναι χάλια οι χάρτες. Παλιά ήταν πιο
Για να
ωραίο,
ακούσει, κάνεις
απλό.
spectate, για να ακούω.
Τι πες?
Κάνεις spectate το Χρήστο.
Ναι. δεν έχει.
Τι κάνεις ρε γάμο τα αντανακλαστικά σου.
Αφού βρε μαλάκα, εγώ σε έχω μάθει να παίζεις Fortnite, μπράβο, τι εννοείς.
Θα σου δείξω εγώ τα αντανακλαστικά μου.
Αφού κονίνω στα κουμπώνει συνέχεια.
Έλα να σου πω ρε, θα μου κάνεις μια χάρη ρε Κονίνο.
Αναλόγως.
Έχεις το κινητό σου εκεί κοντά. Γράψε μία στο Google. Πάλανος. Γιατί αυτό θα βάλω στο πύλι. Αυτό θα βάλω στο
Ούτε
πύλι.
καν δεν
Βάλτε
βάζω,
μου.
θα μου δείξεις καμιά μπούτσα θα μου δείξεις, μπρο.
Όχι, όχι. Δεν θα σου δείξει μπούτσα στο ίδιο. Πώς μου ψεύτας.
Η μπούτσα καλή.
Πόσο είπες.
Πάλανος.
Κάτσε να το ψάξει εγώ. Το Google, Πάλανος. Αγγλικά, ελληνικά.
Ελληνικά.
Πάλανος. Πλαστικός χειρούργος. Πλαστικός χειρούργος, ιατρός στην Ικαρδίτσα, 5 στα 5 αστέρια.
Όχι ρε, ψάξε την εικόνα. Ψάξε εικόνα.
Χειρούργος.
Δεν είναι.
Τι Ινδιάνη είναι αυτή ρε. Κάτι Ινδιάνοι μου δείχνει, κάτι Ινδιάνους που έχουν ένα φουστάνι μες στο πούτσο τους. Τι είναι αυτό ρε.
Εγώ δεν ήθελα αυτό, αλλά δεν πειράζει. Υγεία και αυτό είναι κάπου. Γράψε Βάλανος του Πέος.
Πάλανος.
Βάλανος. Βάλανος.
Βάλανος.
Ούτσες βγάζει.
Τι βγάζει. Βάλανος. Κάτσε να δω, είναι ίδιο. Για κάτσε να δω. Ρε. Αρίτο, είσαι εσύ. Το καμπάκι.
Αυτό θα βάλω στο πύλι.
Ο μαλάκα.
Το Αρίτο το κούκι.
Μάθαμε για τα σπερματοζωάρια και πώς μπορείς να κάνεις σεξ στο σχολείο.
Μάθετε αυτά Χρήστο για την κόρη.
Και στο βιβλίο μας έχει πώς να βάλεις καπότα.
Γιώργο, πάνε στο YouTube και ψάξε Mary Star στα αγγλικά, είναι η κοπέλα του...
Ανταλίτο.
Έλα σου πω, ψάξε, άκουσε με. Δεν θα το ψάξεις, άστο. Θα σου πω εγώ τι κάνω. Στο σχολείο, ξέρεις, έχουμε βιβλίο βιολογίας, σωστά. Το δικό μας βιβλίο μπορείς να μάθεις πώς να βάλεις καπότα στην πούτσα σου.
Πες τα αυτά, πες το πώς το κάνει το Χρήστο.
Παίρνουμε
Χρήστο, με βγάζεις το πακετάκι. Προσέχεις να μην έχει αέρα, γιατί άμα να το βάλεις μαλάκα θα μείνει μέσα και θα φύγει το χείο, θα την αφήσεις έγκυο μαλάκα. Θα μείνει μαλάκα και θα βλέξει, σου λέω μην το κάνεις. Να μην μείνει αέρα στο δισκείο σου παρακαλώ. Γιατί μετά τη γάμισες. Άκουσε με τώρα.
Χρήστος και Γκόλφι ίσον γκολφάκι.
Άκουσε με, βάλε το δάχτυλο σου. Άκουσε με, μετά θα βάλεις το δάχτυλό σου στο στόματι. Να μην ουρλιάζει κιόλας μαλάκα, μην κάνει Άκουσε με τώρα, περίμενε.
Πάει το βίντεο.
Άκουσε με τώρα, άκουσε με αυτά που σου λέω τώρα, άσεξ baby. Άκουσε με. Θα βάλεις το βάλανό σου μέσα. Πρόσεχε ένα.
Μπορώ ρε μαλάκα.
Να μην έχει αέρα ρε μαλάκα, θα σε γάμισει ο γονιστής. Άκουσε με τώρα, άκουσε με. Άκουσε.
Τα λες το κονίνο.
Θα της λες, πέρα βρέχει, πέρα μπαίνει. Πέρα βρέχει. Εξοργισμό θα κάνεις παιδί. Μετά θα σου το βάλεις στο στόμα μια πετσέτα κάτι ή το δαχτυλάκι σου.
Μαθήματα την Τάκινη για το πώς να γαμάει κάποιος, ξέρετε. Ναι, δεν το λέω.
Κάτω κλιπ αυτό και βγάλω στο YouTube.
Όχι ρε μαλακά, θα βλέξω. Μην βάλεις το όνομα Τάκινη.
Όχι. Να πάει κάποιος να το κάνει κλιπ.
Πάει το βίντεο.
Ένας.
Πάει
Θα πάει
το
τώρα να το
βίντεο.
κάνει κλιπ. Πάει κάποιος να το κάνει κλιπ αυτό. Θα το κρατήσει κλιπ και να μου τα στείλει.
Το κάνω κι εγώ κλιπ. Ο Χρήστος έχει κάνει ήδη κλιπ, αλλά τώρα δεν ξέρω αν ακούγεται. Θα έχει κάνει κλιπ. Αν ακούγεται αυτός ρε στο κλιπ.
Ακούστε τώρα, ακούστε. Χρήστο,
Θα έχει κάνει και
Χρήστο.
ακούγεται.
Χρήστο.
Δεν έχω κάνει κλιπ.
Έλα σου πω, Χωσέν, θα πας σε πουτάνα να σου εξηγήσει καλύτερα γιατί εγώ δεν μπορώ.
Τον Κονίνο εξηγέσαι τα. Εγώ ξέρω, είμαι γνώστης.
Κονίνο πουτάνα, ξέρεις καλύτερα να εξηγήσεις εσύ.
Το ούσι.
Ακούστε τώρα, ακούστε. Το παλαμάρι. Είναι μεγάλο.
Το μουνί και το χταπόδιο, το χτυπάει τα πλώνη, το ξέρεις αδερφέ.
Άκουσε, η τρύπα είναι μικρή. Πρόσεχε, μη σου φύγει απ' έξω.
Πάει σαν τρύπα.
Ρώτα τι πόσα εκατοστά μπαίνει. Γιατί μπορεί να τις βγάλεις, να την κάνεις Θανάσιο Διάκο, μαλάκα.
Ο Χρήστος τα έχει υπολογίσει αυτά ρε, είναι 10 χρόνια κολλητή είναι, οπότε τα έχει υπολογίσει ο Χρήστος αυτά, βλέπω...
Χρήστο, ακούσε. Θα τις λες. Έλα γορίτσι μου, πήγαινε πιο πάνω. Και θα σου λέει αυτή, εντάξει πάω λίγο.
Πρώτο win, μαλακα Χρήστο, μπράβο, πρώτο win, 15-1, μπράβο ρε μαγκάς.
Χριστάρα, δώσε πόνο.
Μαλάκα.
Ο πρώτος σκέφτεται το Χρήστο τώρα και λέει, α, τι ωραία που θα...
Τι σου την κάβλωσε.
Άρε μαλάκα.
Καριόλη σου κάβλωσε με μένα ρε πούστη. Πήγαινε άλλαξε φίλο. Να σου εξηγήσω τώρα πως κάνεις με το άλλο φίλο σεξ. Μπορεί να σου φανεί χρήσιμο. Θα πίνεις ένα χαπάκι την ημέρα και θα το βάζεις στον κόλλο που βγαίνουν τα σκάτα.
Χρήστο, παιδιά, μ' ακούτε. Θέλω να πάτε να γράψετε στο Google, μ' ακούτε, θέλω να πάτε να γράψετε στο Google 2 girls 1 cup.
Όχι, το έχω δει. Όχι, βουστράκι. Το έχω δει. Πήγαινε γράψε one man tights. One man two slides.
One man one jar, το έχεις δει.
Όχι, δεν θέλω να το ξαναδώ αυτό το πράγμα.
Τους πας το βάζεις στον κόλλο.
Κόλλο μου πρέπει να πόνεσαι. Μαλάκα, αυτό πες να πόνεσαι.
Ο Μπρου το νιώθει ρε.
Το ξέρω. Γιατί μπήκαμε στο group μαζί του, μπρο.
Έλα σου πω.
Όχι ρε, καλό παιδί είναι.
Άμα έχεις αγαμίες, μπορείς να βάλεις και εσύ το τζάρ στον κόλλο σου. Θα έχεις Χρήστο.
Τι?
Μπορείς να βάλεις και εσύ το τζάρ στον κόλλο σου, άμα έχεις αγαμίες, οκ.
Γιώργο, πιστεύω χρειάζεται ψυχολόγο.
Εντάξει, πλάκα κάνουμε τώρα, εντάξει. Αλλά πρέπει κάπως έχεις Instagram Κονίνο.
Άρα.
Θες να μου το στείλεις να σου στείλω φωτογραφία του βιβλίου να δεις τι έχει μέσα.
Εγώ νομίζω ότι κάτι άλλο θα σου στείλει φώτο.
Κι εγώ,
όχι.
Δεν θες να κάνουμε dick pic.
Όχι, Γιαννάκο, κλείς τα mic τώρα.
Hello, how are you?
Γιαννάκο, θα σε βγάλω μαλάκα. Κλείς τα, μην είσαι μαλάκας.
Πάει αστυνομία, δεν το έκανα εγώ.
Πάει το live.
Πάει το βίντεο. Πάει το live, κάμω την Αγία Βαρβάρα. Πάει το live.
Πάει το βίντεο.
Πάει το βίντεο μου ότι
Μην το πεις.
Μούνα του Μπίλι.
δεν βρίζουμε Παναγίες.
Μόνο
Ρε,
Χριστό, εντάξει.
αν δεν γάμεις τώρα το
Αντρέα,
ξέρεις.
Χριστό.
Εντάξει, βαρέθηκα τώρα να μιλάω για μουνιά.
Του Χρήστου του άρεσε αυτό όμως.
Χωρίς δεν σου αρέσει να τα γλύφεις, Αλέξανδρε, Χριστό, Χρήστο μ' ακούς, ρε.
Γιάννακο, εσύ βλέπεις ακόμα τον Χρήστο.
Όχι. Όχι, το ξεκινάει τώρα.
Βλέπεις.
Αφού σε 40 σεκόντ ξεκινάει.
Χριστάρα τσιμποκοβολαβιέ.
Σε πόσα δεύτερα μπαίνει το game?
37, 36 σεκόντ, 35.
Μπαίνουν στο λεωφορείο.
Ναι, μπαίνουν μπας.
Τι λένε, έχουν πει κάτι τίποτα σημαντικό, κάτι ή όχι?
Έχω δει ότι. Με ποιον είχες πει ότι παίζει ο Peter Port? Τον Τούτου.
Με τον Πόλο.
Ναι, με αυτόν θα παίξει. Ναι, με αυτόν θα παίξει.
Το ξέρω, βρε μαλάκα του είναι.
Ναι.
Μαλάκα μου το πέτυχα μέσα από τα γόρ και τα βγήκα. Χρήστο, συγγνώμη. Ξέχασα να βάλω το input.
Και προβλέπω σήμερα θα κάνει qual.
Το Peterbot, τι λένε, ναι ρε, Peterbot θα κάνει. Καλά, 100%. Μη σου πω, ο Peterbot με το Polo το είχαν πάρει το 25, μπρο, θα το ξαναπάρουν εγώ πιστεύω τώρα. Θα το ξαναπάρουν και θα γίνει τώρα θα γίνει 2 months, 2 jars.
Ποιο FNCS είχαν πάρει το hit?
Το μαλάκα τι λέει ρε μαλάκα, κοιτά εδώ το μαλάκα τι λέει. Έλος που άμα πατήσει το site, αυτό που δείχνει τα βιντεάκια έχει κι άλλα μαλάκα. Έχει πάνω από 15 βίντεο τέτοια.
Ο Μπρο είναι ψαχμένος ρε, ο Μπρο είναι ψαχμένος.
Όχι, πήγα να δω μαλάκα και τώρα
Ναι,
μου το έδειξε πρώτη φορά.
Μάγκες, μ' ακούτε. Εγώ αυτά τα άμαθα, Χρήστο, τα άμαθα πρέπει να πάμε να παίξουμε και οι 4 μάγκες. Είναι ένα game στο Roblox που είναι Greek voice chat, που είναι μόνο για παιδιά. Που είναι 14-15 χρονών, μπρο. Και εγώ εκεί πέρα πήγαμε, έπαιζα με τον Γιάννη, με αυτόν το που σε βρίζει. Και τέτοιο. Και είχαμε μπει εκεί πέρα, μπρο, και πλέον μας τα έλεγε, ένας μαύρος μας τα έλεγε, μπρο.
Εγώ έχω πάει εκεί πέρα και το έχω πει, πήγε ο αδερφός μου εκεί και μιλούσε. Και πάει και ξέρεις τι λέει, μιλάει σε 5 χρονών παιδί, κορίτσι. Και του λέει, θες να σε βιάσω κοριτσάκι, θες να μπεις στο φανάκι μου.
Παιδεραστής.
Βοήθεια, τώρα
Θες να μπεις στο φανάκι μου καριόλι. Αυτά θα λες στην κόμενά σου, εντάξει, θα τη βάλεις στο φανάκι.
Δες πάω, Χρήστο, εγώ βγαίνω, ρε. Πάω να δω το
Χρήστο.
Τι είναι πρέπει να κάτσε εδώ για παρέα?
Θα της πεις είμαι ο Ιησούς Χριστός και μα το Θεό θα σου βάλω την πουτσα μου στον κόλο σου.
Πες το από
Κάτω,
μένα.
ξέρει.
Πες από μένα.
Όχι ρε.
Ακούς ρε, ακούς τον είναι.
200 πουτάνα γε, μη μιλάς με τους μπλε. Μη μιλάσατε, δε μας βγάλωσατε.
Ακούς, τον Νίνο.
Έλα.
Άκου τι είπα τώρα, το είπα. Να πάει στην κόμενά του, θα της πει είμαι ο Ιησούς Χριστός και τώρα θα σου χώσω την πουτσα μου στον κόλο.
Μάλιστα. Εσύ, ένας
Τον
που
έκανα
εσύ τι
mute
έγινε ρε.
μόλις τότε.
Alphaball. Εσύ, ακούς για να ακούω. Εσύ γιατί δεν το βλέπεις το τέτοιο game.
Πες το του κάνω πλάκα και τελειώσαμε, εντάξει. Πες του να με κάνει mute.
Από το PC το βλέπεις.
Όχι ρε, το έκανα mute εκείνα τα δευτερόλεπτα.
Δεν έχεις τέτοιο.
Δεν χωρά ακουστικά και έχω το
Πες το
μικρό
YouTube.
Από το
κακό.
Twitch
Και
και
στο
το YouTube να το
YouTube
δω.
Α, είναι η μάνα σου
Ωραία,
δίπλα.
μπαίνω στο YouTube.
Γράψε φορά είναι κομμάτι.
Είναι κοντά η γονή σου.
Ναι.
Απλά εγώ τα βάζω το Twitch λόγω
fuck.
ανάλυσης. Για να έχω...
Και θα λένε, το παιδί μας παίζει στους ετσόντες.
Τι μαλάκα. Να πάω να δούμε Fortnite Competitive.
Ο Χρήστος παίζει ετσόντα. Ωχ, Θεέ μου, μαλάκα. Καλό μας βγήκε και σήμερα το γέλιο.
Γενικά για
Για να σπάσω, δώσα μια τυροπίτα με κορτάρι Γιαννάκο.
για σεξουαλικά μαθήματα.
Όχι, δεν θέλω.
Δεν γίνει στα σεξουαλικά, είσαι πρώτος.
Να κάνει, να
μαθαίνεις.
κάνει.
Άστα αυτά, είμαι πρώτος, σαν τον Ηλία. Το βίλο μου. Είμαστε κολλητές.
Yes sir, yes sir.
Ξέρετε τον Ηλία?
Το μπουτσιά μου το παρά.
Όχι ρε, τον Ηλία
Τώρα
δεν τον
μάγκες set
ξέρεις.
the fuck up τώρα, βλέπω FNCS για να κάνω 6-7. Ο Φάμπιο, ο Φάμπιο, ο Φάμπιο!
Φάμπιο μπρο.
Μαλάκα, θα ανεβάσει βίντεο. Φάμπιο, μαλάκα, τον βλέπω αυτό στο YouTube. Κάβλας είναι αυτός, μπρο. Με ποιον παίζει?
Με
το
τον
πρίζει.
Με πρίζει.
Με το πρίζει, το
πρέζα.
πρέζει που το μπούτσα μου το πρέζει. Αυτό πήγα να παίζει με τον πρέζα. Με το πρίζει, το πρέζει, το πρέζα. Τι κάνει ο μπάσταρδος ο άλλος? Κάθεται κράτο του μαλάκα. Άστο δερχά. Είχα πολύ καιρό να δω FNCS, μπρο.
Γενικά δεν έβλεπες καθόλου.
Αλλά
Δεν έβλεπες καθόλου τόσο καιρό.
Πώς τη λένε ρε την κόμενα του?
λέω είχα πολύ καιρό να δω τέτοιο FNCS, μπρο.
Ναι, δεν
Κονίνο,
το
πώς τη
κατάλαβα,
λένε την κόμενα του
γιατί
Χρήστου?
τόσο καιρό πώς και δεν
Πώς
έβλεπες.
τη
Κονίνο,
λένε τι?
Την κόμενα του Χρήστου. Όχι, όνομα απλώς, το όνομα
Την
θέλω.
κόμενα του Χρήστου, δεν ξέρω.
Το όνομα, όχι επίθετο, όνομα, μόνο όνομα.
Από Β αρχίζει, τώρα άλλο δεν λέω.
Βασιλική.
Ναι, Βασιλική λένε και. Μην πεις καμιά μαλακία όμως.
Μπρο, δεν είναι εγκομενά μου.
Δεν είναι, θα γίνει.
Άμα πει κάτι, εγώ απλά πατάω τέτοιο. Αποχώρησα από το group κατευθείαν. Leave group.
Άφαμπο.
Εντάξει, δεν το πατάω, άστα καλύτερα, άστα καλύτερα. Το Χρήστο θα στο στείλω Κονίνο μετά.
Τι να μου στείλεις?
Αυτό το ηχητικό.
Μη μου στείλεις καμιά μαλακία.
Τι δεν τραβάμε μαλακία τόση ώρα.
Εσύ το λες να γίνει, εγώ δεν λέω κάτι.
Εγώ μη λες επίθετα.
Gen Ritual. Ω, Ritual. Με τον
στο
Agents.
PS5,
Μαλάκα
πώς
του
λέγεσαι?
έχουν αυτή τα αρχίδια.
Λέγε με Γιώργιο. Μπακασέτα.
Gen.
Γιώργο
Είναι το Gen, μα
Μανολοπούλιο.
υπάρχει τέτοιο που λέγεται Gen, bro.
Είμαι ο
X7.
Γιώργος Μπακασετήτης.
Μανολοπούλιος Γιώργος. Έτσι θα σε λες πάντως.
Πατατοκέφαλος.
Μπράτε γάμι σου.
Πήρα.
Πατά το κέφαλε.
Το είναι. Τον γάμισαν.
Μπορεί να ξέρεις μου τα έκλεψαν τα πληκτρολόγια.
Έλα ρε μαλάκα Χρήστο.
Τι να σου κάνω ρε μαλάκα, αφού κλείνεις. Δεν έρχεσαι να στα δώσω.
Ρε
Μου
Χρυσό.
πες να μου τα δώσει, μου πες να μου τα δώσεις. Εσύ έκλεισες κιόλα. Εγώ τη σειρά μου έβλεπα και εσύ μόλις Κονίνε κλείνω, άντε τσάω ρε. Κλείνω. Ένα τσούβλι θέλω. Έτσι μου λες.
Πάλι σου το τρώσε.
Ναι.
Πάλι την τρως αγόρι μου. Εσύ δεν θες κορίτσις, θες αγόρι πουτσα.
Μαλάκα τι λέει.
Ο Τζότζο Φις. Τζότζο Φις.
Κονίνε.
Πού είναι ο τέτοιος ρε μαλάκα.
Μία πρώτη δήλωση για τη
I
Δευτέρα.
need milk. Ο Τζος Ρέιλι δεν έχεις κάνει qual.
Εγώ θέλω το Γιαννάκο να μου πει την Κυριακή.
Γιαννάκο με τα να πηγαίνεις να κλείσει.
Γιαννάκο,
Τι θα σου πω.
την Κυριακή. Για την Κυριακή.
Θα σου πω, αφού ξέρεις θα πω.
Θα χάσω.
Όχι.
Τι,
Όχι,
θα
αλλά
κερδίσουμε?
θέλω-
Μάγκες,
ναι,
σας
θα
προκαλώ all the duels στο Roblox.
Θα μου κλάσει τα αρχίδια.
Εγώ δεν παίζω
Έμπα.
καν Roblox.
Τώρα παίζω μαζί, δεν μπορώ.
Τι μάτς παίζει τώρα.
Κάτι σαν το νουά για την άλλη τη μαλακιά την καινούργια.
Τι ρε, ποδόσφαιρο αυτό εννοώ.
Ναι, ποδόσφαιρο. Για τη season, team of the season.
Εσύ Κονίνο πες μια δήλωση για τη Δευτέρα που ξέρεις τι ξεκινάει.
Έλα.
Κάτι ξεκινάει τη
Κολλία.
Δευτέρα, θέλω μια δήλωση. Την πρώτη δήλωση του Κονίνου.
Καθίστε ρε, τη Δευτέρα τι?
Ξέρεις τι ανοίγουν τη Δευτέρα?
Ανοίγουν τα σχολεία και τα πορνεία.
Όχι, ναι, Κονίνο, απλώς
Έλα.
δεν μπορεί να
Μερίστα.
καταλάβει κάτι ο Γιαννάκος ότι θα έχουμε άλλο ένα τρίμερο αυτή την
Μερίστα.
εβδομάδα. Γιατί την Παρασκευή, γιατί την Παρασκευή είναι η Πρωτομαγιά, να μην ξεχνάμε ότι είναι η Πρωτομαγιά. Άρα την Παρασκευή δεν κάνουμε σχολείο.
Ναι, την
Άρα
άλλη,
θα
όχι
κάνουμε
την
Παρασκευή
επόμενη.
με
την
5
άλλη.
μέρες.
Την άλλη, την
Αυτή
άλλη.
την Παρασκευή την άλλη.
Την άλλη,
Αυτή.
την άλλη.
Αυτή. Τη Δευτέρα εμείς πάμε Άτλα, εκδρομή σε ένα γήπεδο. Οπότε τι θα κάνουμε, 3 μέρες θα κάνουμε εδώ μαλάκα.
Ρε Γιαννάκο, πώς του μήνα έχουμε?
Σήμερα 18 έχουμε.
Πανταγή, πανταγή, οικογένεια,
Ναι,
πανταγή.
19, 20, 21.
24 πέφτει την άλλη Παρασκευή. 24.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Όχι, 24 του μηνός θα κλείσει τα σχολεία.
Όχι. 1η Μαΐου, την άλλη.
Άρα,
Σε 2 εβδομάδες.
όχι.
Όχι, την
Όχι,
άλλη
ρε.
Παρασκευή θα κλείσουν, βρε.
Ναι, αυτό σου λέω. Την άλλη
Όχι ρε
Παρασκευή.
μαλάκα, και χαιρόμουν όλη την εβδομάδα. Άρα μία εβδομάδα μάθημα.
Μια εβδομάδα μάθημα, την άλλη εβδομάδα ναι, θα κάνετε, δεν θα την Παρασκευή. Μάγκη, χαίρομαι σε ένα λεπτό, περιμένετε. Έτσι και γίνει κάτι, πείτε μου.
Γιατί Ντάγκιν θα κάνεις κοπάνα, Γιώργη Μονορυπούλια.
Γιώργο, πάνε ψάξεις στο YouTube Μεριστάρ.
Πάω, μαλάκα, να δω τι μαλάκες.
This is FNCS, this is Heat. He has an uncontested split drop, but I think him focusing on
Περίμενα
rotating
λεπτά, γιατί
early,
παίζω.
trying to get in towards zone, trying to set up on a mountain so they can go ahead and get that surge would be the second part of their game plan.
Μεριστάρ.
On that stat to be interesting as well. They're just looking at best 16 at this point. So we'll see if they can pull it together, how much improvement they've been able to make over the week. Visuals and braids though. This
Ναι,
is
τη βρήκα.
I start to see their names and I'm really, you know, it's calling.
Αυτή που έχει 45.000.
They've been around the block for so long and they've been
Λέξη τι
setting,
είναι.
they've won games under FNCS
Τι?
pressure. Finals
Λέξη
pressure.
τι είναι.
I think this is a shoe-in team right here and
Τι είπες?
anyone that's going to be
Γράψε Mary Star Flex City.
So we'll see if Press and Crew rotating from the north sides to be okay and two back in with them in a second.
You see them kind of biding their time this season, just like last, you know, with the heals around the map. You don't necessarily have to rush it at this point.
Να, αυτή είναι, αυτή είναι, αυτή είναι.
As long as you have a couple extra med kits.
Αυτή είναι η επόμενη του Κονινού.
To try to rotate in
Ε,
after all the chaos drops down.
το περίπου.
But for teams like this, Dark Dominion, basically the center of
Θα πάνε να την
Όπα.
κλέψει. Ο Ντάγκιν θα πάνε να την κλέψει.
every
Ο Γιώργος.
other
Πάει να την
team
κλέψει.
Ναι, ναι. Θα βάλω τη φωνή της απλό και θα δεις τι θα κάνει ο Κονίνος, θα δεις.
Θα γίνει σαν τον ψύχο στο με TV. Θα μπαίνει στο με
Θα
TV.
δεις τώρα, θα δεις τώρα.
Ψήσου να πεις μια
Κονίνο
μέρα.
τσιμπουκοπαρακαλιάρη.
Ψήσου να πεις μια μέρα. Σοβαρά.
Πού ρε?
Πω με TV το ψήνεις μια μέρα να μπεις.
Έχω κάνει βίντεο με το OME TV.
Α,
Και live.
δεν έχεις κάνει.
Αλλά τα έσβησα γιατί άστο έγινε πρόβλημα.
Α,
Δεν ακουγόντουσαν οι άλλοι.
οκ.
I'm not too sure if this is going to hold off very well. They might actually have to overdrive shock their way in and keep the pressure on this rotation.
Κονίνο!
For now,
Αλλά το χειρότερο είναι ότι σε αλλάζουν συνέχεια.
to the build
Από
to
πίσω με
keep
TV.
on.
Σε αλλάζουν με τη μία. Στα πρώτα
Just
σεκόντ.
gonna give it up, so they feel pretty content.
Έχω χωδεί και πουτσα στο με TV μαλακά στο.
I think it's gonna be the
Είναι πολύ
Όλοι έχουν
ανώμαλη.
δει.
slight mistake letting that team
Πολύ ανώμαλη όμως.
Έχω επιχειρήσει 2 φορές να μπω, 2 φορές.
Μην μπεις, με live μην μπεις.
Με live όχι, όχι.
Ή μπες και βάλε
Με
μια εικόνα μπροστά από την εικόνα που φαίνονται τα άτομα και μόλις βλέπεις ότι είναι κανονική βγάζεται. Έτσι έχω δει κάποιους.
Οκ. Έχω μια ιδέα για το με TV για τέτοιο, για stream. Έχω σκεφτεί μια ιδέα.
Έλα, θα μπούμε σε κλίση μας και από υπολογιστή εσύ
Έλα,
και θα
Μάγκη,
είμαι.
κούτα.
Κονίνο, να σε ρωτήσω κάτι ρε. Να σου πω,
Αναλόγως.
αυτή εδώ, Κονίνε,
Έλα.
αυτή εδώ τη φωνή τη ξέρεις. Όχι αυτό δε.
Hello guys, Μέριστερ εδώ και καλώς ήρθατε σε ένα νέο βίντεο στο Flex City.
Αγιάω την Τουρκία.
Κονίνο!
Τι κάνεις αυτή τη μόνη. Κονίνο. Δεν σ' ακούω, πνιγικές. Είσαι φαγητό, αλέπα. Κονίνο. Κονίνο.
Έλα.
Έλα σου πω λίγο, περίμενε. Περίμενε. Hello guys, ποια είναι αυτή?
Δεν ξέρω, μπρο, μια Πακιστανίδα.
Ανομαλή.
Ανομαλή,
Ωραίος. Ποια είναι αυτή ρε?
δεν ξέρω, μπρο, μια Πακιστανίδα στο σχολείο μας.
Οκ. Έλα Χρήστο. Χρήστο.
Μην μιλήσω για την πάνε στο TikTok και γράψε, θα σου πω. Γράψε, κάτσε πάνω να την δείξω πώς τη λένε, περίμενε. Όχι. Περίμενε. Γράψε κάτι βασιλική, κάτι τέτοιο, περίμενε. Να ψάξω
Μάλακα μπορεί να μην θέλει βασιλική.
Λέγεται βασιλική με 2 ήττα. Βασιλική με 2 ήττα και στο τέλος έχει μία τέτοιο. 2 χέρια που κάνουν μια καρδούλα. Ελληνικά, όλα μικρά.
Ναι.
Βασιλική με 2 ήττα στο τέλος.
Ναι.
Και στο τέλος δύο χέρια που σχηματίζουν μια καρδούλα. Θα στο βγάλει λογικά. Θα βγάλε.
Αναζήτηση. Όχι.
Όχι ρε, θα βγάψε βασιλική και στο τέλος θα πας λίγο πιο κάτω, λίγο στις προτιμήσεις που σου δίνει το TikTok και θα δεις, θα σου λέει μια βασιλική με 2 καρδούλες. Όχι με 2 καρδούλες, με 2 χέρια που σχηματίζουν μια καρδούλα.
Στείλε μου το ρε μαλάκι στο PlayStation.
Δεν λέει κάτι βασιλική ρε μπρο, δεν είναι κάτι το δύσκολο. Πέθανε, Γιάννακο, πέθανε κανένας.
Βασιλική.
Έχουν πεθάνει.
Ναι, αυτή είναι. Με στείλτες μήνυμα, γουστάρεις το Χρήστο, πες.
Ωπα Χρήστο. Ωπα μαλάκα.
Rise and Curly are actually performing to stay within that Storm Surge threshold, even when other players are forcing these fights.
Έχεις το Χρήστο να τον εδώ. Να πάμε πάνε.
Εγώ για να με δεις πρέπει να πληρώσεις, μπρο.
Α, πέθανε ο Φάμπιος αυτός που έλεγες.
Θα μου πάρεις
τον
την
πρέσβη.
Τι, Αγγελάρα λέω. Τέτοια, πέθανε κανένας, Γιαννάκο.
Πέθανε αυτός ο Φάμπιο που έλεγες.
Η θάλασσα είναι αυτή.
Ο Φάμπιο πέθανε.
Πέθανε το 29. Και τώρα είναι το 27.
Μαλάκα.
Με 0 points.
Φάμπιο και το ντουο του, ο Πρέζας.
Ναι. Πεθάνω.
Έλα ρε πούστη. Άμμο το Πρέζα. Say walai, bro, say walai. Say walai, bro, say walai. Say walai, bro, say walai.
Let's see if they can continue this performance because they've been progressively getting better as the game does go on. But from Bucky and Zen,
Για συνέχισε αυτό που έλεγες τώρα πριν.
and they have less of a rotation to make them rising curve.
Το αστείο που κάνατε.
Έχεις δει καθόλου το Peterbot?
Δεν μου τον έχει δείξει μέχρι στιγμή, δεν έχει φανεί.
Μπορεί να μην παίζει καν, να σου πω την αλήθεια.
Όχι, αποκλείεται.
96 άτομα κιόλας λέει έτσι και δεις πάνω.
Όχι,
56 άτομα
55.
λέει.
55 μου δείχνει, είσαι λίγο
Το
πίσω.
55 εννοώ 96 άτομα συνολικά, οπότε 2 ομάδες δεν έχουν μπει. Να, πάει πέθανε ο Φάμπιο, τώρα πέθανε ο Φάμπιο ρε. Γιατί λες βλακίες?
Γιατί κοιτάω το leaderboard του
Λες λίγο κάτι,
Fortnite.
Κονίνο.
Στο Fortnite το
Α, τους
leaderboard
πόντους
κοιτάω.
κοιτάς. Α, οκ.
Κονίνο, για δες λίγο κάτι.
this. They used that overdrive shockwave grenade, but they used it in the box. They didn't want to use it to shockwave through the sky because that leaves you susceptible to taking damage. They just simply wanted that effect so they could do exactly what you said, walk their way in towards zone, and don't bring too much attention to what they do have going on. Aloe and Listen, they positioned themselves below the edge of that mountain, found a big elimination there for the refresh. They don't necessarily need it in terms of their actual loadout. It's the materials, you know, that'll run dry as this game progresses.
Monsters game for them so far. 6 eliminations still. 50 players are
Περίμενε λίγο, wait, bro. Δεν είμαι σίγουρος. Θα σου πω αριθμό, θα σου πω τους αριθμούς, περίμενε. Να γράψεις όμως,
για το κωδικό του email.
Τα πρώτα 2 γράμματα τα ξέρεις ποια είναι. Τα κλασικά. Μετά 8, 0.
Up and over they go to the front side of zone. Braid's gonna go and play for the load to the mids. And it's Bucky and Zen who are slightly...
Ναι, δεν έχει... Ναι.
8, τέτοιο, 8, 0, 9, 2, 7, 0, 0, 0.
Πόσα μηδενικά ρε?
Τι μηδενικά βρε? Νομίζω, ναι, 3 μηδενικά.
8-0 τα πόσα?
Κάτσε βρε, περίμενε. Όχι, Άκιο, δεν
είναι μου τώρα σε μήνυμα.
Άλλος είναι ο κωδικός, sorry, άλλος κωδικός, μαλακή σου λέω.
Μισό ρε, περίμενε.
Έκανε ένα άλλο κωδικό ρε μαλάκα, sorry.
But this is exactly the position you want to be in, and look at this, the terrain playing into their favor. Up and over the mountain it goes, and Rise though having to play the Flowberry.
Ναι, άκυρο. Θα σου στείλω σε λίγο το κωδικό, περίμενε, επειδή τώρα παίζουν endgame. Οκ.
Πέτα νωρίς.
Πείστο με ακούς ρε.
Άρα.
Τι παίζεις εσύ τώρα?
Roblox tennis.
Πώς το Twitch έχει πεθανίτσες.
Α, το tennis ρε. Το έχεις παίξει κι άλλη φορά.
Πώς?
Ο Μπάκι μαλάκα είναι χάκι να το γούστα να διώξω. Ο Μπάκι θα πεθάνει. Θέλω να το πάρει ο Ritual και ο Agers, θέλω να το πάρει εγώ. Εσύ για να ποιος θέλει να το πάρει?
Εγώ από τη μία, εγώ δεν θέλω κάποιον συγκεκριμένα, αλλά το μόνο που πιστεύω είναι ότι θα το πάρει ο Peterburg. Αυτό. Δεν έχω κάποιο συγκεκριμένο. Δεν ξέρω αν απ' την άλλη άμα έπαιζε ο Mr. Savage θα ήθελα. Αν έπαιζε. Αυτό.
Εννοώ από αυτούς που είναι στο game τώρα βρε.
Τώρα δεν έχω κάποιον που να θέλω.
Από κάποιον που έχεις δει και παίζει καλά και πιστεύεις ότι είναι καλά.
Μόνο τον Peterburg ξέρω. Μόνο τον
Όχι, εννοώ να
Peterburg.
παίζεις αυτό το game ρε. Να παίζεις το game. Εγώ θέλω να το πάρει ο Ritual και ο Agers. Βασικά με τον Agers δεν μ' νοιάζει να το πάρει ο Agers, ο Ritual θέλω να το πάρει. Αλλά η ίδια ομάδια είναι, εντάξει, άμα τον Agers.
Εντάξει, οκ.
Να πέθανε που τα αναζιώσω, αλλά για Agers. Τα αναζία. Αλλά Ritual το έχεις ρε, το έχεις αδερφέ μου.
Για κλείνω πάνω στην κοπέλα μου.
Λοιπόν, ξέρω ήδη ποιος έχει πάρει το win. Είδα ήδη leaderboard.
Ναι, μάνα το ξέρω.
Είδα ήδη leaderboard.
Το είχα ξεχάσει ρε, sorry.
Τι έγινε, κλείνει?
Χρήστο κλείνει. Όχι. Όχι ρε, σε ποια κοπέλα να στείλει, έχει κοπέλα Χρήστος, όχι.
Το ξέρεις, πού το ξέρεις?
Έχω τη γιαγιά του Μπίλι. Έχω τη μαμά του Μπίλι. Μόνο αυτό, μόνο αυτήν έχω την πουτάνα. Και ο Χρήστος μπορεί να έχει τον Αρίστο.
Χρήστο. Μπήκα στην IP σου.
Τι είναι αυτό?
Μπορώ να μπήκα στα δικά σου.
Τι είπες,
Και έχω το τηλέφωνο σου.
Για πες μου το.
Δεν μπορώ να το πω, έχει live, να με κάνεις mute μία για να βγω.
Έτσι, αλλά σε κάνω mute και όταν είναι στείλω μήνυμα να σε κάνω mute. Έλα, σε κάνω. Ωραία, τον έκανα.
Ναι. Ναι.
Δεν είναι καν αυτό το τηλέφωνο του μαλακή, δεν μπρο. Το τηλέφωνο σου το λέω εγώ τώρα. Είναι 6-9... Πάει το βίντεο, εντάξει. Δεν είναι καν αυτό το τηλέφωνο του, μπρο. Πάει ο Ρίτσου, αλλά όχι. Το 4.
Λοιπόν, ξέρετε, θες να σου πω ποιος πήρε το win ή όχι, το βλέπω ήδη στο leaderboard. Το έχω δει ήδη.
Περίμενε. Α, το πήγε έτσι. Ναι, το πήγαν. Ο Μπάκι. Μάλακα, πού είναι ο Μπάκι, ρε. Ο Μπάκι είναι τέρμα κάτω. Ένα μέτρη έχει, πέθανε. Πάει ο Μπάκι. Πάει το βίντεο, Μπάκι. Πάει το βίντεο.
Εγώ το ξέρω.
Όντως.
Για
Όχι,
κάποιον...
νίξε ο Μπάκι. Νίξε ο Μπάκι, δεν το πιστεύω. Ναι ρε μαλάκα. Όχι, είναι μπάσταρδος στο Μπάκι, όχι, δεν έπρεπε να τον νικήσεις.
Ο Peterboard, κάτσε να λίγο να δω τώρα, τι το είναι. Θα δω τώρα.
Ξέρω, αφού δεν παίζει καν το Peterbot.
Αφού πριν τον έδειχναν. Όταν έδειχνε τα ντους, τον έδειξε νομίζω. Όντως δεν παίζει.
Άρα. Να δω, βρω. Δεν μου έχει στείλει κάτι.
What the fuck?
Τι δεν είναι.
Πώς και δεν παίζει, παιδί. It's okay. It's okay, it's okay.
Vivian, I think it's really funny that you brought up right before this. We're watching this kind of unfold, and we look up and we're like, oh wow, Bucky, Zen on height, 9th zone, that's crazy. What did you tell us, Vivian? What did you tell us?
So I was watching Aussie earlier, right, doing a little viewing party of E, and he was like, yeah, listen guys, we're gonna be watching NA later. We have to kind of like hate watch Bucky because we don't want Bucky to do good this season, because if he qualifies and plays in the Summit in-person event going on later this year, then he's not gonna be able to be on stream and kind of be that supporting caster on Aussie's stream this year. And listen, Aussie, I'm sorry, man, Bucky's done it again. One step closer to qualifying to the Summit. One of our first teams over here on NA to qualify to the Grand Finals next week, and he just does it, Kelly. He just does it in Bucky fashion.
I mean, there was moments there you could see it down to 16 builds, although at zone 12 it's still pretty good. They played it so well. They knew exactly when they kind of needed to drop down. They handled the diminish going up for them really well. And then you heard the casters call it. Zen kind of playing this disruptor, which allowed Bucky to go back, find some heals, and then get the heal off win. And when it comes down to heats, that's what it's all about. Having that strategy in mind, knowing exactly what your win condition is to be. And Bucky and Zen bring that out in game number 1.
That picture of me of Bucky was my reaction when I was like, the moment we saw him out in zone, and I was like, oh no, he has one med kit, but just off to the left. Slice of pizza, love to see it. Congratulations to
Τελικά το IP τι είναι.
For you guys, it means next time we'll see you is next weekend in the grand finals. Now, more did transpire in that game, but first, a break. When we return, we'll break things down and get ready for game number 2.
Το IP. What the fuck?
Τι ρε, τι είναι το εδώ. Πες να έχει κάνει qual τότε ρε ο τέτοιος. Πες το να.
Ο Peterboard.
Ο Peterboard γι' αυτό τον δείχνει. Καλά, Mr. Savage μπορεί να μην παίζει καν.
Πού να έχει κάνει qual.
Δεν ξέρω ρε μπρο, τι να σου πω.
Αφού αυτοί που έχουν κάνει qual υποτίθεται από το play-in παίζουν στο τέτοιο.
Να ρε μπρο μου και ο Oliver OG κάνει, εγώ τώρα που μου τον παίξω στο TikTok, κάνει και αυτός watching NAE FNCS hits.
Οκ.
Έλα.
Άρα λογικά και ο Savage τότε θα παίξει. Λογικά.
Δεν ξέρω ρε μπρο μου.
Εντάξει, it's ok.
Wait.
Τουλάχιστον να έχει τουλάχιστον λίγο ενδιαφέρον. Να έχει νόημα δηλαδή.
Όχι. Τι. Δεν ξέρω, μπρο. Ου.
Monster Charlie Curly carrying the flame.
Δεν μ' αφήνει.
Έλα.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam. In case you missed it, Bucky and
Κάνει
Zen picked up
mute να
the
μη σε
victory
κάνει.
out in game number 1, which means they're going straight to the grand finals next weekend. In case you missed
Κάνει
it,
ένα
Bucky
mute
was
για να
actually
ακώ τον τέτοιο.
streaming his
Τον
perspective
οκ.
with a
Έλα,
5-minute delay.
ναι, τον είχα
Go
κάνει
watch
mute
that
τώρα
reaction.
το
It's
text.
ice
Το έβγαλα.
cold, it's Bucky, it's awesome. Congrats to the duo. Now, of course, we still have a tournament to go, right? We got 4 more games, 4 more VRs to be had. So let's take a look at the leaderboard. Let's see how things are kind of shaping up after that first game. As we kind of look up to the top here, obviously don't freak out. The 1,000 points, that just means, hey, they got themselves a VR. They're moving on. So now we look down. Shadow and Virgo currently with 72 points.
Γαμώ τον Ντιμπάλα ρε μαλάκα.
We were kind of hyped
Περνάει την μπάσα.
Virtual 72 points.
Όλα να δούμε το leaderboard.
Στο μπάσκετ πήγαμε καλά, Γιαννάκο. Πάλι καλά περάσαμε στους 8, στους 7 πώς είναι. Ποιος λες να πάρει την EuroLeague φέτος?
Δεν μπορώ να σου πω από τώρα. Σαν το πως πέθανες από ειλικρινά. Ο Βέργκος τι κάνουν αυτοί ρε μπρο, τι κάνουν ειλικρινά αυτοί.
Χρήστο μ' ακούς.
Τι κάνουν μα, και βγαίνουν και top 2.
Χρήστο μ' ακούς.
Ρε.
Απλά είπανε top 2 θα βγουν και τα hits. Εντάξει, it's okay.
Like obviously we know high ground always does good, low ground always does good usually in the past couple of metas, but Virtual and Agers, they were actually playing the majority of this end game throughout that.
Στα ντουμπαρντών.
Enough eliminations to go ahead and sustain throughout all of that.
Ya está Dumbardon, ya está Durbandon, da Bardarjubandon, ya Скава Чибана.
Τέλος πάντων, σου πω λίγο να βρεις τα πολωνικά.
Στα Dumbardon, ya está Dumbardon, ya Senja Sunjeva, Senja Duvida, Senja Duvida, έλα.
Σούκα.
Yes, da Shuka нахуй.
Όχι, αυτά είναι πολωνικά που σου πάω. Εσύ λες ρώσικα μαλάκα. Σούκα, μπλιέτ. Μαρούσκα, μπονέτ. Πανέτ, φορβότ.
Hey, did it get ritual?
I could pass in
have her back, but I don't understand.
But man, to see these guys now in 3rd place as well. I mean, guys, this is looking really good, and I have to say, just a fantastic start. You know, the first game of FNCS back, I love to see that.
Άντε σε 1,5 λεπτό το next game.
We didn't have time to talk about them in the beginning of the show, but
yes sir, yes sir.
Really sitting in 3rd place, that's pretty dang good.
7.
Ο Μπάκη έκανε qual ήδη. Δεν έκανε qual ήδη, εντάξει.
Το ξέρω, βέβαια.
Ο Φάμπη αυτός τώρα που λες δεν ξέρω να θα κάνει.
Ποιος?
Αυτός ο Φάμπιο που έλεγες πριν, καθόλου τι top είναι.
Το Φάμπιο ναι ρε, απλά τον βλέπω εγώ σε YouTube, πρέπει να κάνει ωραία βιντεάκια και τέτοια.
Double force in major number 2 and major number 3, and Minish was right there with them. So finished the year very, very good last year as a Minish, and then gonna go ahead and pick up Hobby right here. Not necessarily a player known for any pop-up performances or any like notable placements.
Top 34 που θα είναι top 29.
place
Οπότε endgame δεν πρόλαβα να φτάσουν. Καλό πάρει. Άμα καταφέρουν και φτάσουν τώρα καλώς. Τώρα 32 points είναι το κουάλι, οπότε πολύ good.
See them continue to find success in these endgame playing so good.
And you know, like, I just feel like this is such a different like tone of FNCS, right? Because normally it's like, oh, we're just in Major 1, we're playing for Grands, but now it's like, Grands, yeah, that's pretty good, but there's also a summit like right after that. That seems pretty good. Maybe I want to try and make that. So I don't know. I think a lot of these teams are thinking the same thing. How do we secure a spot on the battle bus going to the summit? With that being said, though, we'll talk about that more later on. For now, game number 2 is ready. So casters, over to you.
Already things are heating up. A huge battle for the high ground. Multiple teams involved, but congratulations again to Bucky and Zen. But one game down, 4 games left to go. Instead of the usual 6, Monster, things will continue to fly by.
Yeah, and I mean, the vibes are looking pretty good right now. If your Ages of Ritual, though, talk about just control, right? This should be a shoe-in for them moving forwards again. They've got everything they need to go ahead and keep pushing through. And Shadow, of course, popping off in Virgo hasn't looked any better, Jacob. So I'm really excited after seeing Game 1 as we almost just got a sample of what this heat, of course,
yeah, we saw a little bit in EU where there was like a point threshold where a team, I think in 9th place went down. They lost their shot.
Δεν τον ακούω τον άλλο.
Μένα δεν μ' ακούς.
Το Μάνο.
Σε ακούω.
Το λένε Μάνο, βρε, Γιώργο το λένε.
Το Γιώργο.
Γιώργο με λένε.
Ναι, τι ήθελες να μου πεις.
Τίποτα. Όχι, δεν τον ακούω.
Ξέρεις αυτό το και καλά αρπεί στο Roblox.
Ναι, ρε, σε ακούω.
Το Homburg, πώς το λένε. Hamburg, ξέρεις.
Even faster now. Usually, traditionally on NA, Jacob, as you know, game 1's the slowest, but he
ξέρεις,
be
ακούς.
moving relatively nicely as far as pace is concerned.
6-7. Τέλειο.
Πονίνο.
Άγγελς και Ritual. Έλα ρε!
Το Humburg, το ξέρεις.
Το Humboldt, τι είναι αυτό?
Μια πόλη που παίζει αρπή.
Δεν ξέρω, μπρο.
Βρες κοινή.
Α, τώρα και της Γιαννάκο τώρα είναι 49 ομάδες.
Ναι, το είδα.
Και 80 τέτοια άτομα. Οπότε μια ομάδα στο πρώτο game δεν είχε μπει.
Μπορεί και αυτό.
Hey, they get to continue to do what they've been doing. They made the
Αλλά τώρα πέθανε ήδη
Τώρα-
ένα team. Μπορεί να είναι και αυτό.
They're up in that high.
Καλά, τώρα ποια ομάδια είναι, δεν μας νοιάζει.
It's great momentum for them. Meanwhile, Blake and Preston trying to make the most of
Αυτή
their
νομίζω.
drop spot.
Τώρα ελπίζω
Τώρα
να τα
Blake,
βγάλουν τα
τώρα.
points.
Ο Blake γιατί ξαναπαίζει.
Putting themselves on the board here.
Blake. Α, δεν είναι αυτός ο Blake, ρε.
Different teammates that always landing towards
Α, όχι, όντως ο Blake.
I'm not sure what prompted the
Oh,
change, but maybe if
bro.
you know you're going to be contested because that's what history says for
Ο
someone like Blake, might
Περεστόνε,
as well make it
Περεστόνε.
worth it. Switch
Νομίζω
on
Blake,
towards Latte
δεν θα
Later,
πάει.
so if you do win the fight, you get a lot for it. They already have one elimination and they're just looking.
Και Μπραζίλ, και από Μπραζίλ παίζουν άτομα. Εντάξει.
And so it's very, very important for Blake and Preston to check all of these corners together as a team so they can at least trade out the shots. Plezzy hits the first. Blake gets dropped down to about 50 HP. Quickly slides out the window. Now trying to put some damage on to Preston. But that time and moment has come and gone.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Oh,
threat coming out of the
100.
shot there, but unfortunately couldn't get the follow up or lock him up. So
100
this is
full
gonna
piece,
be
full
only a
box,
matter of time
200.
for Plezzy now. Can't find a way to
Του
fix it.
Niggers.
They've lost him for
Πάει,
a
θα
second
πεθάνουν.
here, so he's been very hard to pin down.
Αγί Μπρεστόν,
Αν
Γεστιέρ,
τον
Μπατζιστέρ.
Πρέστον παίζει. Οκ.
before you kind of
Ο
continue on with the
Preston.
rest of the game. And for
Ναι, με τον
Buzzy,
Preston παίζει ο Blake.
not sure if he's playing
Nice.
the actual reboot card or to catch him off
Ο
guard
Μπλάκη,
yet
ο
again.
Μπλάκη.
Missed that
Blake.
first opportunity exactly. Blake is going to be able to stay alive, return back to the scene of the crime, try to land some damage onto Fuzzy. Preston
Ήταν πούσι
gets
το
into the
Μπλάκη.
mix as well.
Πάφε
And
μπολ.
they
Ω μαλάκα,
get that
τι μίσαρε,
elimination.
τι
May have
μίσαρε
taken
μπρο,
more time
τι
than they had
μίσαρε.
hoped, Monster, but at least they got the job done.
Yeah, Blake and Preston just
Εντάξει μπρο, quit the game.
can't miss your shots.
Τι μίσαρε ρε.
Under pressure.
Ούτε εγώ δεν μίσαρω τέτοια.
The one-on-one
Εντάξει.
opportunity for Agers and Ritual though, like we said.
Αφού είναι East,
Ο
τι
Φάμπιο.
περιμένεις.
Chill duo in this lobby as far as the top pros
Καλά
are
είναι.
concerned. You know, they're all business.
Τώρα κάποιοι θα παίζουν και με 100 ping και νομίζω 120.
Like
Τον
we'll see
30
him
τόσο.
now. Hit their drop in and out and already off to the
Κάποιοι.
races here. Look at the highlight for the
Επειδή δεν είναι όλοι NAE players, υπάρχουν και άλλοι από άλλες χώρες.
It's actually good. I thought we were going to see them kind of fly off of Sandy Strip with the blob that they use. with
Αυτό
the
δεν κάνει και ο
shockwave
τέτοιος τώρα.
grenade, but no,
Ο
plain
NAE,
simple,
η NAE
sticking
στην
to the
NAE
game plan,
Central
just a
τώρα.
different fashion. On over to Painted Palms. Last game, Monster, we
Sure.
saw Rise and Curly actually split this drop. I'm not sure how much that played in a role into them being below the damage threshold for a good portion of the early game, but this time around it seems like they're refusing to actually split it unless they get forced by some other way.
Yeah, I'd argue that this is working right for them. They were in way too much of a stressful situation, given that they, again, like you just mentioned, played it very passively and moved out. I'd like to see them engage a little sooner, not have that early surge issue, and then go for better positioning later. And as we talk about that, unfortunately, Jesus just gets gifted the team that was lurking nearby, so could have arguably earned those points themselves, but on over to Shadow and Virgo here for a moment. We've got Nut and Prom on the back heels here, pushing back. Seems like their ambush was a bit of a failed attempt here.
Not bad, but also not too surprising from Shadow and Virgo. They kind of land just south of Frigid Fortress. They go ahead and loot up rather quickly, and then they kind of get options depending on where the zone is actually going. They can stay at their POI if it's moving towards the north, but they also have quick access to multiple mountains on the south side of the zone if it does pull in that direction. They might have to go through a few teams, but it also works in their benefit because they're able to get surge just like you see
Τώρα
there.
τσιού, κακά
And all over
τσίστο
the map, you're
κούτσι
seeing
πέρα
so many
βράγε,
different
όπα.
strategies. Some OG just
Μάγκης
like to
ακούτα.
push camp,
Ναι, έλα,
wait
σ'
and
ακούω.
see if somebody makes a mistake, and right now
Οι άλλοι τι
Snake
ακούνα.
just was a
I
little
don't know.
bit too out in the open by himself. Boogie and Cash, they cash in on that damage.
Δες πω μπρο, όταν πάει endgame πες μου ρε. Όταν πεθάνει κάποιος ή γίνει κάτι, οκ. Επειδή δεν βλέπω τέτοιο, τώρα πρέπει να κάνω κάτι. Οκ, Γιαννάκο.
Ναι, ναι, ναι.
Τώρα να σου πω.
By the way, μάγισσε πω το μισάραμε σήμερα. Πώς είδατε μπάσκετ σήμερα, ειλικρινά, όποιος μπήκε τώρα. Κανείς, καλά, εντάξει, ας το μιλήσω. Άμα δεν είναι κανείς μέσα τώρα, ρε φίλε, τζάμπα το chatting.
Kind of quickly in a 2v1, and that's what happens when you have the numbers advantage. Some teams will back off, let the solo escape, maybe go for the reboot later. Others just simply play aggressive. 3 points per elimination. When it's 5 teams getting in through a win, that top 10 going to the leaderboard. Sometimes 3 points. We've seen FNCS decided by less.
Agers, Ritual, taking tab name for a little bit.
Όπα, αυτοί κάνουν τη Ming. Τι φάση.
Are they gonna pull that strategy we saw? Where they throw him in the reboot van and just...
Ο Ritual κάνει με τον άλλο τη Ming. Και πλέον βαλάει το friend, τη my friend του.
Are they gonna throw him into this and heal him?
Το πλέον τον άλλο. Το πλέον βαλάει τον άλλο και κάνουν...
And it's honestly, do you give all your strategies?
Άμα τώρα αυτό εδώ πέρα δεν φάει ban, τι να πω, φίλε, τροπή.
Because yes, you can still buy it for 500 gold.
Τι κάνει, δεν είναι και απλά το βαλάει.
It's easy to come across that 500 gold depending on where you land.
Κατά τα δύο.
I like this too. I like this. Like, oh, you want his reboot? Go ahead and build him. We'll see you when we see you, buddy. There you have it. So, just like that. I'm not sure what Tabney did to deserve that. You know, I was talking about Agents of Ritual, all business, no games. And I don't know, maybe I just cursed it. It's got to happen at least once. But you have it.
I actually did want to see the reboot strategy though, where you just kind of throw them in, get free damage.
That would be great.
Maybe it's a little bit too early. We are still in heats, but so much action going down. We see the
Πάντα
Angels,
ακόμα και
Ritual get an
ο Φαβί και ο Πρίζ ακόμα ζουν στο game, man.
another
Μια χαρά.
elim, and it just goes to show like, hey, if you're
Έλα,
one of
all
those
good.
teams that land just on the edge of the map, depending on where the zone pulls,
All good
you
όσο πάει
don't
καλά.
really have much time to loot up and get early Storm Surge. And the way these games have been going, I think you said about 86 people up in game 1 when Storm Surge popped. Well, guess what? Right now there's 81. Storm Surge is going to pop soon.
Yeah, but still on pace, right? Very fast game so far as the action here on the NA region. Belgian Eoxy, very consistent, smooth team.
Άμα είναι να κάνω κάτι και επιστρέφω το chat.
Seem to have things under control here. You gotta appreciate a team that's just able to kind of farm up good tags, find their knocks, right, and really not have to overexert themselves. They're not even getting greedy to finish up the dealing. So really showing you the temperament, right, of a team that has been in finals before.
Looking off in the distance. Avenger Sniper won the actual fight for Wonky Land, but they're having some trouble gaining some traction from there. Couple of reboots and Sniper Dude still by himself. Across the map, Slips, Toronto. Decent performance from Toronto and Slips in game 1. 9th place overall with 8 elims, with them 6th place on the actual leaderboard. And if you're looking at consistency, you know, that was actually 5th place because Bucky and Zen have already qualified. So they just have to stay within this point threshold. And with the zone pulling north, the team in front of them, this is not going to be an easy game for Toronto and Slips to make it through.
Good point, man. Points. You got a huge, I'd say 2 feet in the room, not a foot in the door. You're standing in the room right now because they're on their way. But, you know, for some, you have the pressure of actually having good points for the first time in this type of setting. It could be an extra bit of stress that actually breaks you. Sniper Dude in the same situation. We talk about teams that are actually looking really good after a game 1 here. 68 points for this team. Not bad. And they have the Wonky Land under control right now. There is a team there. But I'd probably assume that they have the damage they need. So we'll see if they actually force this fight.
It's going to be a thin line that they're going against. Left Team Wagers were actually the team that took
Αρήτη μ' ακούτε.
You can kind of see they're not necessarily fighting for the points. That's bonus. It's that mending machine over at Wonky Land. So you can either get the patch up or the actual med kits to extend your stay in the actual storm, which allows you to kind of miss out on this kind of chaotic portion of the game, which is why we see so many teams last season and this season stay as long as they have in the actual zone. Up until I think it's zone 5, it is going to be a 1 tick, then it goes to 2, and then it goes to a 5 tick. And Storm Surge doesn't really even give you the warning until 500 damage. And at 600 damage, that's when you actually start to take the sickness. So for the early portions of the game, Monster, it's a very viable strategy.
You have to appreciate the lengths of which pros find new ways every season, regardless of the loot pool changes, on how to extend their lives in the storm for longer and longer. The Freon in Dragon, we're doing the opposite of that. Early positioning here is going to play to their advantage. However, no elims, so this is super important. They land these tags on teams moving by and might even have to drive their way into one. There's the minute-half warning now.
Where this end game, I'm not going to say it's starting to scare me, but you can see the waterfall, mountain ranges, hills, dips, dives. So if you're not prepared for a possible end game that can go up and down, a lot of these mountains start to reserve and think about your material count and resources overall. It could get chaotic, but you see 143 above for the Tick and Mafia. 143, it's above the damage threshold, so you know you're not going to take damage. It's only zone 4, so that threshold is going to continue to increase. So for the Tick and Mafia, you just got to hope 143 is enough if you're not going to continue to get damage here.
Yeah, this can go either way, but it is not going to be enough to kind of go the distance. We'll see which of these guys ended up cracking first under pressure. Who really, amongst all these duos,
Mato.
they'll be the first to get lobby focused. Day and Scuffy's on the move right now. I feel like they don't want to have anything to do with these two teams that are trailing behind them right now. Just picked up his teammate. Oh no, Jesus is having a really hard time with this. He's just got rebooted, all of them tagged up. Scuffy's lets his guard down, and that duo from behind insta knocks him right now, and there was, oh no, he was chilling in the bush there, Jacob.
Yeah, this is a dramatic turn of events for NAE. They were above the damage threshold. They thought they could take advantage of the fresh reboot. Unfortunately enough, City's just hiding in that bush, gets good damage onto one, and now it's essentially going to be a fight for the reboot. Day versus City here, who's only 3 above the damage threshold, 57 above. So this is going to be one of those fights where even if you win, you can find yourself below the damage threshold. First shot's going to go to City. Day fires back. He has a little bit of a lead over the control, but the third-party shots come in. The elimination goes to Day. Luckily, he's going to grant him that siphon to allow him to stay just a little bit longer in the storm because we know he needs the reboot.
Sometimes you need a little bit of luck, right? The storm getting the finish off, him getting the damage credit, the siphon kicks in. It just doesn't get better than that. Just like that, he might just be able to get that reboot back in here and now, but it could be risky too. Might just call for, of course, that dude to move in. Meanwhile, we're just in Agers. Last time we was here, we obviously saw them dumping the body up top in the box.
Έλα, Γιαννάκο, έχει πεθάνει ο Φάμπιο.
Δεν ξέρω, δεν λείπα. Είχα πάει να κάνω κάτι, τώρα ήρθα.
Οκ.
Θα δούμε.
Kind of use those splashes, get the HP. They have their mending machine that they try to use for a long time. And these
Όχι από ό,τι βλέπω.
they're using the overdrive, getting the effect from the actual shockwave grenade, and then they're shooting the blob, which launches them so far away. And while you see the benefits of Sandy's Rift for a team like Ritual and Agers, but as soon as they make it in towards the zone, they become the chosen team. Multiple
Αλλά το περίμενα ότι θα κολλάνε οι άλλοι, θα πιάνουν 100 ping.
They make it in on the edge. The pressure slows down, so for now, they're going to be A-okay because
δεν θα ήταν το 0 ping που κάποιοι περιμένουν.
Right on top of them is perfect. They'll be able to fish for eliminations. They already know there's all types of teams, not only, of course, in front of them, but the behind them as well. So, what a key position to be in, and I don't blame them for going straight into that metal box here. So, it seems like everything is just starting to stack into their favor here now, and it's the type of spot they want to be in too. They seem to have enjoyed the low ground coming out of game 1.
If you kind of look at it from the overhead, there are teams around them, but there's nobody that they immediately need to be worried about. Even though we haven't seen them build up and elevate their position, that's just because they're already in zone. We did see Day go down in the distance. Storm Surge, if you're not planning accordingly, it does start to dictate your game plan. You fall below, especially at a time like this. You almost have to fight the nearest team, and that's why you're seeing Curly Rise proactive. They already have their spot in zone, so they're just using their position here to try to get damage on any team shockwaving in.
They're just waiting for the Rangers team to open that box. Seems like they have a little sense that danger might be nearby, so not trying to move too soon. Looking around for tags. Oh no, I was gonna say someone that might be looking to take a fight, but not without the side duo here, so it's going to be a very rough spot to be in for any single player. Let alone a solo right now. Someone just got eliminated to the Storm Surge just right as all that's going down.
Yeah, it would have been a nice try for him to try to get the loot, but you're still below the damage threshold. Timing is just not on your side, and with no extra heals, 132, almost half of elimination here. Just hoping that somebody makes a mistake that he could try to beam, but now falling 300 below, he has to get in the box. Good damage onto one, almost gets the knock onto Jojo, but it's not going to last. A few seconds, Storm Surge activates and he goes down. You got to give him the valiant effort for that one.
That was crazy, but talk about unfortunate for Jojo and Oxygen. Just the full wrap up too. That timing couldn't have been worse as the fresh metal edit comes through. They were changing layers. Coming back with Virgo and Shadow here. 300 damage above the threshold. No elims for this team, but Trouble in Paradise either. They're chopping their way through these enemy builds here, trying to see if there was any danger lurking nearby. They're trying to move their way into the storm here early now. Seemingly safe here for the moment.
Εν τω μεταξύ είναι endgame gun, είναι άμα θες να δεις.
Meanwhile, Curly seems to be controlling a bit of that mid to high ground to be here. We'll see if they end up being the first team.
Επειδή μου πες να σου πω άμα έχει endgame.
Rituals POV though, 3 Elans right now. Again, another team that has had just quite the phenomenal performance here in game 2. They can way better. We saw them in game 1 in game.
Griffin.
Wow, just
Divine.
seeing Preston
Πρώτο drill.
get beamed right there, just kind of getting caught off guard. Now Blake as well going in for the loot. He is below the damage threshold, so maybe can kind of use a fight, but against Hurley, against Rise, it may not be the duo I'd want to go against, especially now the third-party shots are coming in from behind. It does still settle for this moment for Blake. He is above the damage threshold, but he is finding himself as a solo in 26th place, or 26th team, I should say, still up.
Δεν το λέμε
One more
Μάνος.
team needs to go down.
Γιώρη,
Placement points will
άντε
start
για
to set
Γιώρη.
in with the meat of those placement
Πάει
points
ο
coming inside the
Γιώρης.
top 10.
Big tag right there, the finish as well. Great refresh there in
Θα
this
μπεζεί.
game here. And talk about that terrain,
το
right?
πάρουν.
We saw a little bit of that dangerous terrain before, and this is
Αζεί.
coming up and
Δεν
over
ξέρω.
that vertical mountain lip there. So giving a bit of an extra problem to go ahead and deal with. And look at this, is allowing a lot of teams to start positioning super high up now. So this is not looking like your traditional.
Αλλά και να ζει θαύμα είναι, γιατί πας και ανεβάς και κάνω βιντεάκι. Και αυτό το κλείσει. Α,
Να
πέθανε.
ο Φάβιο μου τον πρέζε.
Πεθάνωνε. Το 8.
Τώρα όχι να δει.
Στο έκανα sport τώρα. Είναι πιο μπροστά το leaderboard και το stream δεν ξέρω στο Twitch γιατί είναι στο top 23.
Τώρα κι εγώ βλέπω εδώ πέρα.
Πώς.
Αλλά Χρήστο τι έγινε.
Οπότε τι είναι το βλέπω.
Χρήστο μ' ακούς.
Unfortunately,
Χρήστο.
Mafia, I'm not sure what happened to him. Probably got
Περίμενα,
killed.
ρε.
I don't see any
Όχι,
shields.
ρε,
I
δεν
don't think
περιμένω.
it was fall damage. We'll probably figure that one out later. But the tick, there's no use
Έλα, ρε,
in
τι
playing
θες.
that. He has to figure out what he's gonna do here as a
Τι έγινε,
solo.
λέω.
Top 23, so
Ρε
many
μαλάκα,
points left
αυτός.
on the
Τι
board.
γίνεται να
So
είμαστε.
if you're gonna have a big game, it's on
Έλα.
your shoulders as an
Αυτός πώς γίνεται να
individual.
είμαστε
You
στον
said it
αριθμό.
before in that last zone. Nobody is
Ποιος?
really claiming that high ground
Ο
just
Μάνος.
yet. Nobody is solidifying as the team to beat up
Τι εννοείς
above
όμως
the
τώρα?
QK.
Μπορείς το βρει από αυτά που λέγατε πριν.
Ναι, αυτός που έλεγε τέτοιο. Αυτός είναι ο αδερφός σου. Τον έλεγε.
Ναι ρε μαλάκα. Και μου στείλε και μήνυμα παρόλο που δεν έχω κάρτα.
Ορκίζε.
Ορκίζομαι μπρο. Μου στείλε μήνυμα και τον έσβησα. Και μου λέει ακούς.
Το fuck bro.
Καλά, 2026 είμαστε, τι περιμένουμε.
Μα... Λέει και καλά,
Και
μήπως
αυτό
είναι
είναι-
αυτός που
και
λέει και
εγώ-
καλά. Έλα, τι είπες Χρήστο.
Και εγώ τον είδα τον αριθμό του.
Άγια. Δεν σου
Απλά
κάνει
τον έχω
κάτι
σβήσει
λογικό.
τώρα.
Δεν θα σου κάνει κάτι λογικό. Δεν σου κάνει, απλά που λέει ότι έχει καλά hacker τον ξαδερφό του, καλά μαλακίες λέει, αλλά... Και πάλι, μήπως έχεις βάλει κάπως να φαίνεται στο PS5 ή κάτι.
Ρε μαλάκα.
Καλά, αυτό μου έχει τύχει και στο TikTok εντωμεταξύ. Κάποιοι στο chat γράφουν τα τηλέφωνά τους. Μην μιλήσω.
Εμένα πάντως δεν μου το έχει πάρει, νομίζω.
Εμένα μου έτυχε στο TikTok
Μα πάλι και
αυτό.
τα σόβρεκα.
Μου έτυχε κοπέλες στο TikTok που στριμάρανε. Κάποιοι στο chat να γράφουν τα τηλέφωνά τους.
Εγώ νομίζω ότι έλεγε μαλακίες ρε. Τι μα λέει, εγώ δεν ήξερα καν το τηλέφωνο σου. Εγώ νομίζω ότι έλεγε μαλακίες, bro.
They are up here with no problems, and look, Curly's not done yet. He finds an Elam. It was at the expense of Rise, but it's all good. He's got the pizza to stay alive in the game as well here and now. And it's almost a
Ο Φάμπιο ζει. Δεν ζει ο
Όχι,
Φάμπιο.
πέθανε. Το από αυτός πέθανε.
Πέθανε. Πόσα points έχεις, μπορεί να δεις.
30 κάτι ήταν νομίζω.
Α, οκ.
36 και είναι το πίκος.
Πίκος.
Α, ο Μπάκη αυτός που είναι... Α, ο Μπάκη πέθανε.
Πάει ο
νομίζω.
Ritual, πέθανε το Ritual.
Α, ο Noisy πήρε win.
Εγώ πιστεύω ότι ο Blake θα το ξαναπάω, εντάξει.
Όχι, ο Noisy.
Ο Blake πέθανε. Α, μου να πάω.
Noisy πήρε win. Respect.
Ο Κέρκλι. Κέρκλι είναι τον Rice.
Trying to get these eliminations. They're trying to force everybody down low to clash as we get into the final 2v2.
This is it, Noisy and Neo. 9 elims, possibly pushing for 10 or 11 here and now, but this building is just buying them so much time now. You couldn't call a stronger endgame, a weirder endgame for both teams. And look, they both have mats as well, so this is going to go the distance. But if you're Minish and Hobby, this is not what you want at all, Jacob. They don't have heals to really go further, but Noisy and Neo try to force the fight here over to the side. And Minish goes up just to get that visual from up top. Great tag so far, and this is really going any way right now.
Yeah, he does a pre-shockwave to make sure Noisy and Neo can't shockwave up. He has the mythic, so one pump is around any one of these corners, but Minish is making sure to keep his distance, letting Hobby drop down low, played the disruptor, but the elimination comes through. That siphon on him could be
Μην βγαίνω εγώ, ρε.
see his HP going up. Neo with just a sliver left, and
Ακούς.
they have done it. Noisy and Neo have clutched
Βγαίνω.
and stolen that game away from Rise and Curly.
Έτσι βγαίνω. Βαριέμαι. Έτσι. Δεν θα κάτσω σήμερα μέχρι τις 4, άρα μπρο. Βγαίνω, bye. Καλή νύχτα.
Bro, why are we coming down to these nail-biter games, man? I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat watching like, wait a minute, and Jacob's calling out this, and oh my gosh, and then boom, it goes the way of Noisy and Neo. For them, this is huge, right? Just think, we come into today, we have 5 games to try and make something happen, and you get a victory out in game number 2. I mean, Kelly, you gotta be like, all right, pressure's off, it's good, I'll see you guys in finals.
Τι είπες, Γιαννάκο?
Λέω είμαστε οι μόνοι που έχουν μείνει ξύπνοι τέτοια ώρα.
Το live σου δεν το βλέπει κάποιος.
Είναι ένας μέσα.
Μπορεί να δεις ποιος είναι ή όχι?
Δεν μπορώ να δω, δεν μου αφήνω το κινητό να κοιτάξω και από το PC δεν μπορώ τώρα.
Yeah, they played that perfectly right. We saw those 2 eliminations kind of happen on the 2 solos of the lobby. So all those materials kind of fell right into their pocket, and something else falling right into their pocket. A ticket straight to the grand finals. And big news here, it's actually going to be the first time we see Neo in an FNCS grand final. So congratulations to him, and for Noisy, just the 4th time over there as well. So like Kelly mentioned, new players to the scene when it comes to these grand finals, but after watching that game right there, they look like vets.
Woo! I am excited. Now, of course, action is not over. We still have 3 games to go. First, really quick, in case you miss it, the Triple Threat Bundle is out in the item shop right now. Check it out. My gosh. Shout outs to Somerset, to Reddish, and to Moxie. But guys, this is such an amazing time. Again, I can't get over FNCS is back, baby. It feels so good to be back in the FNCS mindset, to see all the pros, to see the kind of tech and how people are adapting. I'm telling you, Kelly, everyone's thinking about that summit. It's in the back of the mind, isn't it? Global is far away. Summit very soon.
It's really added a whole nother level of pressure onto all of our teams. We've never had something like this before. We've seen teams do well in like Major 1, or maybe they don't do well in Major 1 when they're like, oh, well, we still have the rest of the year to kind of prove ourselves, get our spot at the Global Championships. But everyone wants to go to this Major 1 summit. It's something completely new. And Vivid, I don't know about you, but I think a lot of these teams are probably putting in a little bit more effort to qualify.
Και έχω μάλλον μια ώρα το κάπεδο μεταξύ. Έχω ακόμα 3 games.
Specific major
Yeah, all cut in.
FNCS lobby. We've kicked things off just by how many players are alive in some of these early games.
Απλά δεν παίζουν οι άλλοι. Παίζουν πολύ λίγοι την μεταξύ τα αγγλική τα games αυτά. Επειδή μόνο endgame παίζουν και εκεί πέρα ό,τι να βγάλουν να σου βάλουν. Άμα αυτός ο Φάμπη πιει με τον Dude τώρα πάρουν κανένα win, είναι back. Είναι win. Το έχουν κάνει τώρα 1000 points, δεν ξέρω γιατί κάνει 1000 points. Επειδή δεν μπορούν να πάνε να πατήσουν κανένα, επειδή δεν μπορούν να πατήσουν 40 κιλά. Δεν πάνε να πατήσουν ένα 30 kill win, ξέρω. Αλλά anyway. Όχι βράχη, πώς να μπορώ.
Εγώ δεν το θυμόμουν να κάνω. Γι' αυτό έλεγα μαλακιά και καλά που του έλεγα ο ρυθμός του είναι 6-9 και τέτοια που έλεγα. Τώρα πώς το βρήκε ρε μπραμ. Yeah. Α, τέλος πάντων. Καλά, δεν σου κάνει κάτι. Άμα σου κάνει κάτι, εντάξει, το βρεις και τον αριθμό τον έχεις. Ναι, ρε, δεν είναι κάτι chill. Τώρα πώς το βρήκε ρε βρε, ούτε εγώ δεν το ξέρω.
Μήπως την είχε βρει από εδώ την κοπέλα.
Ξέρω βρω. Όχι, έτσι και σου κάνει κάτι τον έχεις αριθμό, εντάξει, μην αγχώνεσαι. Δεν κάνει, καλό παιδί είναι ρε, δεν σου κάνει κάτι. Λογικά μπορεί αυτό. Α, οκ.
Εντάξει.
Ναι. Άντε τσάω ρε. Καλή νύχτα, τα λέμε αύριο. Άμα να σου...
Welcome back, Fortnite fam. In case you missed it, game number 2 went over to Noisy and Neo, which means they're good. They're like, hey, we got to play no more FNCS. Now we can focus on next weekend, grand finals next weekend, and eventually that summit. But man, oh man, there's still 3 games left to go. If you don't know, we either want a victory royale or we want to end in the top 10, which means we will make a spot in the grand finals. Guys, we have 3 games left to go. We're almost halfway through, and there's still a lot of teams I feel like could have already gotten themselves a victory royale. I mean, if I'm looking at that leaderboard, I'm looking right at the top, Javi and Aminish, right? We've already seen 2 fantastic games from them. You know, if we just stop the competition right now, yeah, they go through in the top 10. That's all great, but I mean, I don't know, Kelly, 3rd place, 60 limbs, 2nd place, 2. Like,
τώρα στο Cup average μεταξύ του early access αξίζει να το παίξω. Ναι, δεν έχει κουάλ, αλλά για το coding το παίζω, δεν έχω θέμα.
So they don't want to get the auto qual, they want to get first place through consistency. But regardless, what really impressed me about this duo right here was their push for height that they saw. What they did for this height push really impressed me. They waited for Curly to actually go for height first against QK and EXO, and then after Curly went up, that is when they went up, and allowing that kind of few second players to kind of third party for height is what allowed them to claim it for themselves. It ultimately didn't go the way that they wanted, but still, to see that height play, I can definitely see them going for it again in game 3, Vivid.
Yeah, something that impressed me was actually taking a look at how many eliminations they picked up that game. It was only 2, 1 each on both of them, and to kind of survive all the way to 2nd place is very tough to do in end games like that, right? Because you usually need the refreshes to kind of keep your game going, but they must have played a very good game when it came down to the rotates, because only 2 eliminations, picked up maybe even 2 refreshes there, and not only building up on the hype and making it all the way to the end of the game. Super impressive stuff.
You're talking about eliminations. Look at Agers and Ritual, right? 14 already. These guys are here to slay. And I think it's interesting that you bring that up, right, Vivid? Because on one side, we see, hey, we have a duo that's not really picking up impacts, right? They're not really finding these extra materials. Agers and Ritual, though, they're getting active. They're looking for eliminations. They have mats, they have weapons, ammo, everything you could need. So, I mean, we could see a victory royale coming out of them, right, Viv?
Yeah, I mean, it would not be surprising to kind of see them win the game. I guess, you know, kind of coming into heat number 1, I would have actually bet that Ritual and Aegis would have been one of our first teams to win one of these early games right here. They're still playing very, very well, as you can see, based on the leaderboard right there, and obviously the eliminations that they're picking up as well. But yeah, I mean, they're just doing such a good job with those eliminations. They're at the top of the leaderboard when it comes to those specific eliminations, and they just got to keep the ball rolling.
you know, luckily thanks to our Kench stats, we actually have the number for the finals VRs that they have coming out of the Div Cup finals. And they only have 2 Victory Royales out of the Div Cup finals that we've seen for this chapter. And Agers and Ritual, although they are consistently in the top of our leaderboard, for me, it is more so the fact that they are just consistent. They don't necessarily need to go for the win, but they are just such a consistent duo, Zeke.
I love that. I love the consistency. And as well, in case you missed it on that leaderboard, 7th place, Curly and Rise, right? We kind of got eyes on them. I want to make sure we're keeping them close to see if they can make it through either consistency or on that Victory Royale, right? Because we do have some high expectations, but I'm feeling like they can maybe pull it through. Guys, we're getting ready to jump back in game number 3. VR or top 10? Let's get it. Casters, over to you.
Yeah, that's right. Things are definitely picking up here. And you know what? I was looking at Neo's Twitter there, and you know, it's his first time going to finals, so congrats for him. They seem to be very excited. As Noisy said, we are the best Mexican players out here. So I love to just see the celebrations, folks making their first finals. But this is just one more step, Jacob, for them going to land.
Yep, they just head and continue that same performance. Not going to be as easy in finals, but at least they got themselves an opportunity. But we go ahead and look at that leaderboard. The top 10 is where it's really going to matter after all the games are said and done, and those teams already advanced to the grand finals. So you look at Javi and Minish, you look at Agers, Ritual, even Shadow and Virgo. They're so high up on the leaderboard, they just need to do the bare minimum to secure that spot. It's the other teams that I might begin to get worried about.
Yeah, if you're already breaking that 100-point threshold, you're pretty much a shoo-in. Seems like you're on pace to make your top 10. And, you know, it's a short day today. 5 games, that's it. 2 already out, of course, as we only have 3 more left, of course, with this one in front of us. So, with the battle bus ringing out, Jacob, let's go ahead and go on them one more time.
This is essentially the halfway point throughout today's tournament. As Monster said, 5 games instead of the usual 6. So if you find yourself running out of time, that could be why. Leaderboard. I talked about Javi, Ager, Shadow, even our analysts talked about it. But as you continue to go down the leaderboard, you see how tight of a race it actually is. If you think top 15 after the 5 teams qualify, right now it's only 57 points. Only 1 point kind of separates a couple of these teams. Back to this fight, straight 50-50. They go for the chest down below. And Prom seem to have this one on lock.
And when you get that elim this fast, right? You're picking them to the drop, you're finding that weapon first, essentially, and getting the full elim. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that because you're getting your points, you're getting quick damage, and then you get the whole drop. There's just no waste of resource, so it doesn't get more min-max than that. You jump with Blake and Preston. Just highlighted the fact of the speed of the last elimination. Last time we saw Pluzzy and crew here, Pluzzy was by himself and he missed that shot in game 2. We called him out for it, so you can't make those mistakes when you have that one-on-one opening up. So we'll see what Kin and Pluzzy can do here if they've actually learned a little bit from their last game 2 loss.
Yeah, and Blake and Preston, even though they've had a little bit of struggles without their game, they're only 13 points away from that bubble spot and then get into the finals from a contested drop, which is impressive in its own. As we take Mafia, they get their 2 eliminations at Humble Hills, so they get the rest of that drop and time here early on to loot up and try to get the rest of what they fought for. Preston goes to try to make a play, lands the first shot. Pluzzy, he's trying to struggle his way back to the other side, but that could be an opportunity to Blake to try to get the sandwich.
Yeah, definitely nicely done for him to go to make the exit there. Oh, quick dash and counter fire as well. Looking good, but Blake's a little bit more shield to work with now, but no. He couldn't push back fast enough and allow Preston to go ahead and play the side angle there. Well,
7 Blake. Bravo Blake, scoto. Έλα Μπλάκι, μπράβο ρε μάγκα Μπλάκι και Πρέστον.
Αυτός ο Φάμπε μπορώ τι γίνεται τώρα με αυτό. Α, εντάξει, ζει ακόμα στο
Έχω το Μπλάκι. Λέξ, λέξ.
Α, πόσο έχει, 62 points. Α, top 16 είναι, εντάξει. Έλα, μέσα στο qual είναι και αυτός.
Ποιος?
Ο Μπλάκι.
Ο Μπλάκι.
Τώρα έχει 60 κάτι points.
Ο Μπλάκι όμως δεν το πήρε, ο Blake δεν το πήρε τέτοιο ρε μπρο. Το πρώτο game. Τώρα γιατί έχει 50 points ξέρω ο Blake.
Γιατί στο δεύτερο game βγήκε top 5 με 4 kills.
Στο πρώτο game που το πήρε το win. Δεν έκανε qual. Έχει 1000 points και έκανε qual, τέλος.
Δεν ήταν ο Blake. Δεν είναι αυτός. Ο Μπούκι ήταν.
Τι εννοείς δεν ήταν αυτό?
Ο Μπούκι ήταν. Άλλος ήταν. Μπούκι. Δεν είναι.
Α, ο Μπάκι ρε.
Ναι, ο Μπάκι.
Α, ναι, οκ, ναι, έτσι ωραία.
Να, απλά ακούγονται κάπως το ίδιο.
Ρε Μπούκι Μπλέικ. Θα μπερδευτεί ρε μπρα.
Δεν πειράζει, υγεία.
Μπούκι, εντάξει. Δεν ξέρω τώρα περίμενε, πάω να ψάξω ποιος είναι ο Μπούκι και ποιος είναι ο Μπλέικ, μπρο. Επειδή πάω να ψάξω, θα γίνω αίτο Pro Max.
Θα γίνει μαρίτο.
Blake.
There's no way I can get the reboot. There's no way he's going to be able to roll on to me. So he's continuing the rest of his game, trying to collect that gold, just in case he has to purchase it to get his teammate back.
I think he's going to be able to get him though, I'm not going to lie. They seem to have straight lost him there at the end. Meanwhile, Day and Scuffy, the last time we saw them here, they let their guard down with the open wall from behind.
Ναι, ο Μπλέικ, ο μαλάκας, ο πούστης.
Ναι, τι.
Έχω,
Ποιον λες αυτό με τα 60 κάτι points ή τον άλλο με τα 1000?
And at that time too, it's just so late in the game with every other team hearing the reboot that caught their attention as well. So it's just unfortunate for Day.
Ο Μπάκι, να, οκ, τώρα κατάλαβα. Και έλεγα, ο Μπάκι τον ήξερα, ναι, εντάξει, κομπλέ. Ο Μπάκι τον ήξερα. Τον Μπλέικ, μπρο, δεν ήξερα ποιος είναι. Βασικά, ήξερα, αλλά δεν μου θυχόταν στο μυαλό η φάτσα του, κατάλαβες.
Για ποιον λες αυτό με τον Μπρεστό? Πες με τον Μπρεστό.
Μια χαρά, ναι. Ο Μπάκι μια χαρά το πει το win, εντάξει, κομπλέ, μάκας. Ο άλλος ο μαλάκας πάλι καλά που έχει 60 points, αυτός είναι ο μαλάκας. Blake.
Ναι, Blake. Γιατί YouTuber streamers είναι και οι δύο? Streamers είναι και οι δύο, λέω. YouTubers.
YouTube. Να σου πω. Απλά ο Blake είναι μαλάκας, πολύ αυτό. Δεν το συμπαθώ, δεν είναι μαλάκας να απλά. Είναι 6-7.
Στάρι.
Όχι ρε, απλά Πούτι, είναι το Πούτι.
Ο Πούτι άρρητο.
Ναι, άμψα. Γι' αυτό.
Αθυλόπιτα Αστεργίου.
Πέτυλοπιτα Αστεργίου, τερέ.
These Agers get dropped down to just a sliver of HP. Splash is coming out, minis as well. They know they have time here because they have their mending machine down below, more than likely boxed up. The position here, they can shoot the blob and kind of create so much distance in the blink of an eye. So they have plenty of options now that they've survived that fight from Boogie and Cash. Not sure how they were able to get that damage, but heads up for Agers and Ritual to be able to survive that.
Yeah, and you see you have to have that effect on as well in the shockwave to, of course, get that distance. But Blake and Preston, though, back on over to Listen and Aloe, who are base down here. We already knew Blake and Preston took that fight here at the Latte Landing, so for Listen and Aloe to just rotate into their drop. Surprised they didn't even catch Blake and Preston out.
I can kind of see what they're looking at here. I don't see Curly anywhere. I see Rise trying to run. It seems like maybe they got the elimination on Curly. Aloe Listen chasing down Rise, and yes, no knock, so that is going to be a full wipe. Complimenting how well Rise was playing with his damage. I'm not going to take blame for that curse, but they are going to go down, and that's going to be a little bit more of a struggle for them. They are 7th place on the overall leaderboard, so they have a little bit of a cushion, but that means no more mistakes for the rest of the day.
Yeah, you know, all things considering, you would have thought Curly and Rise were a little bit, I guess, more comfortable on the standings, you know, leaning into Game 3, but they're still in the conversation. This is surely going to put them back. Right now, the pressure's on for consistency. I didn't think I'd be saying that today, as that was a team I'd for sure, of course, have as a favorite, if you will. 55 Frog versus Ultra and Monkey right now.
Kind of seeing what teams would have to do here now that Tip Top Terrace is no longer in the game. They just have to go a little bit more north to get the lion's share of their loot, which means teams that used to land over here uncontested now have a little bit more opposition, so it's not going to be as easy as it once was. No elimination yet, but they get forced down below. Quick peek on that shot. It does look like Mike's just trying to get away, create some distance, go up above, but that's the same thing that's getting him caught out. Back-to-back shots coming out from Ultra, switches targets, hits the other one as well. He is just hitting haymakers up until then. He goes down, leaving Leahy by himself.
Like to see it, but Cryptify is trying to hold on right now. Leahy and of course, his teammate here, Ultra, they have had an exceptional first game. They're up in that high 60-point threshold, but no, Cryptify actually gets the siphon there. That's going to give him a massive advantage over Leahy, but he can't quite track him. That Fizz is going to go ahead and give him a little bit of HP as well, so he is actually in the fight right now. As we talk about it, there you have it. Swings around, still hasn't got his elimination, so now he's trying to get it back. Oh, no. Pickup go through though. That's gonna be a huge mistake if he does. Cryptify's only down to 4 builds here. Little does he know, he's got the advantage right now. He's just got to keep that pressure up. There's the finish. Tries to take the fight. Misses the important tag. There's the follow-up. 121. But no heals now for Leahy. Just the slaps. Okay. She almost called that one too soon.
The silver oh, I was wrong. I was just saying the silver lining here is the zone's not too far away, but as I look in the mini-map, I see somebody rotating in, and it was my thought that it was initially a solo, but even further down in the mini-map, the duo's there, so they hear all this noise still going down, probably looking at the elimination feed, spotting out and gathering that information and trying to make the play. Leahy is now just getting pushed. He finishes one fight, ends up in another. Sleaze and Atlas are there to clean up one elimination here. They do pick it up, but do they know there's at least one more person hiding out here?
It's just so unfortunate too, because he used the fist to go on and rotate as well, so just no way to exit at that point. Worse, unfortunately.
Εκτός από το Last Chance, τα υπόλοιπα θα τα παίξεις. Τα Elite Cups που έχει.
Τώρα τα Elite, τι είναι τα Elite?
Αυτά τα του Reload. Αξίζει να τα παίξεις.
Δεν ξέρω τι είναι.
Ούτε εγώ.
Ούτε.
Όταν θα τα παίξουμε θα καταλάβουμε.
Is that reboot gonna garner even if he does get it off? It's Dragon, Creon, 101 inside of the bubble as of now. And this is a team, when we talk about competitors, they're usually at least in the race. You can almost talk about a grand finals appearance. This team deserves that shout out just as good as anybody else. But this time around, you can see a little bit of struggles when it comes to Storm Surge. 70 above. They go up to 127, but Dragon gets beamed. So the Storm Surge falls right back down to 79. And this is the kind of games that these teams are playing. The Storm Surge, the way it works is it's total damage dealt minus the damage taken gives you your net Storm Surge, and that's where each team is ranked on the leaderboard.
Yeah, it is really interesting. The cat and mouse here. You want to be the one, of course, chasing, not receiving the damage. We're gonna Dragon push right into Northern's boxes. That was extremely aggressive. Didn't seem to have escaped there. Meanwhile, Andrew's duo vibing out here at the Humble Hills. And Press on the other side. Nothing quite coming from it just yet. There goes the fight breakout. Doing fairly well though. Look at the damage. So it's not a fight they actually need.
Yeah, they more so just want this team to just leave. Like, they're 400 above. They have the heals. They're waiting for the game to pass them by. But Prez, his duo, Liam on the other side, they're like, hey, we might necessarily need the damage. We might need some resources. Great damage from Liam, gonna cause the knock onto one, leaving Andrew by himself. He is the IGL, so hopefully he has the brain power to get himself out alive, if not get these eliminations, because Prez, he's already weak. We'll see if that one continues, but Creon and Dragon, they're in a tight situation. They're also below the damage threshold. During this fight, they're below, they're above, they're trying to get the elimination. 3 more points. There's a lurker. Not just that one team that they have to watch out for, but so many others that have to rotate in this direction.
Yeah, this is a fight through desperation, not choice, and Creon has no idea. This is a fresh team pulling up, and then another one there in the distance too, seemingly shockwaving in. So let's see how much of the situation they've managed to download, digest, and understand here. There's one of those duos that came in out of nowhere. It was Tony. He gets finished there. You see Exist in the background. You see Zenon and Reds here moving in too. So just a lot unfolding all at the same time. Green and Dragon are the ones that break away with it, though. I'd say the bulk of the mats and the bulk of the damage now. They just have to minimize expending anything extra. Yup, they understand it too. Seems like they want to rotate out. Meanwhile, Ritual, fighting for his life here, finds one. He'll manage to go ahead and have Agers get back and put back in the game here. But this is a surge battle for the GOATs themselves.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Ritual here. He has to make some dicey decisions. Do I keep going for damage, get ahead of Storm Surge, or try to get a reboot Vance somewhere and hope in the next zone after this when it pulls so far away? 136 points, though. So even if they do go down here, I'm not necessarily too worried for them. I don't think they're going to be too worried as well either. But Ritual, he's not giving up without a fight. Quickly going on over to that drop and see if we can get out of a pizza. Oh, a slap-a-roni pizza. If any item can pop out of that one, that's the one you want.
Yep, gotta love the slaps when they show up just on time. So belly's full, shield looking great. Virgo and Shadow, though. Talk about, again, the team that was monstrously running the lobby with Elims. Now just vibing now, barely breaking a sweat in the early game here, turning online when they absolutely have to, and just really allowing that consistency to flex and keep them up on the standings right now. Nice moveset for them, puts them up in great shape here for the end game, and this is just game 3, so we're really just seeing the best of what they have to offer.
Shadow taking down Dragon. I think Avenger even getting elimination from Wonky Land. Vigil and Braids finally moving in. The edge of the zone, sometimes that's what you got to settle with. We're seeing that elimination here. Shadow, Virgo, just a non-stop action. And that's the beauty about a team like Shadow and Virgo, is when they realize they're below damage threshold, they can play slow, they can play steady, they can try to get surge on players shockwaving. They can also go box to box and break their way in and command that.
Yeah, I really like that we're starting to see that side of them, right? This is
Τα άλλα games δεν θα τα προλάβουν να τα παίξουν.
Probably said this time
Είναι
last year,
38 Pro και είναι ακόμα το 30. Είναι ακόμα το 30.
Now they're getting the praise to back it up, so love to see that continued development.
Πώς θα γίνει να προλάβουν.
For now, Barney, Vertify, have the high ground. This is a massive amount of commitment. I dare say myself here, as we're very early into the end game, but they've fully went all in here. And they have the natural high kind of terrain to support them there. Meanwhile, Toronto slipped on the other side, 21 below. But talk about consistency here in these first 3 rounds. No elims just yet, so this is going to be a super critical set of damage that they're hunting for here, Jacob.
Yeah, I like how you talk about the importance. Right now, I believe they sit on 6th place on the overall leaderboard in terms of consistency. So it's not where you want to falter now, so great heads-up play, noticing that team down below and being persistent. Even though it's only 12 damage above the threshold, they were able to get the elimination, and at least they're above the damage threshold. There's other teams in the lobby right now that are going through active surge, having the game played for them.
This greed starting to set in now. You start thinking, do I go for it? Barely holding on. We're in the end game. Meanwhile, Ritual's got a lot to work with here as well. It's just solo, but plenty of extra heals. SMG in his pocket there too. Legendary rarity. Zone's already on top of him. Virgo, 10 HP, but makes it to the storm here. Goes with the pizzas first. Oh, and they have extras as well. That's an excellent way to bounce back in the game. So keep that chug for later.
Seeing just kind of the different rotations coming out. Some people using those shockwaves just straight for the effect. Somebody using those shockwaves and just kind of running, letting it boost them the minimal amount. And you saw Blake and Preston there for that moment, using the shockwave just to get from the backside of the zone, flying over everybody to try to land a position in the front. You talked about Barney investing early into this here. They do have a good amount of material. They get a max pull. So it's going to be a risk if they want to try to keep it if shockwave on over.
Ξέρεις μας ο Φάμπιο.
Δεν ξέρω τώρα. Εγώ μόνο τον Blake είδα.
Αλλά.
Είδα ότι ο Ιζίο Blake αυτός. Ο Φάμπιο πέθανε το 20.
Το προηγούμενο.
Τώρα στο τρίτο game, 48 points έχει.
Το P20. Αυτό είναι το P25, πώς γίνεται να πεθαίνει το P20?
Θα δεις, επειδή με κοιτάω το leaderboard. Κοιτάω το leaderboard, θα λέω.
Α, οκ. Δεν τον βλέπω, ο Blake τώρα έχει πεθάνει.
Το Blake, τώρα πάω να δω. Αλλά πότε και βλέπω, όχι, δεν έχει πεθάνει.
Άδωσε ο Φάμπιο, οκ, ναι, άδωσε ο Φάμπιο.
HP left, so 5 ticks of damage, but they take no time getting back to the front side of the zone. It was Blake and Preston on that second height that is continuously being that nuisance.
It's underrated amount of synergy right there. The jumping as they both just utilize the same builds to get high ground here. No wasted materials, you love to see it. They just bully off Blake and Preston there.
No, Blake ακόμα μαζί.
Back and in control. Virgo shot 5 heals. Just enough mats. Couple heals here. Now looking for the refresher. Continues to be impressed here by their performance. Right now in this end game, making the charge here, going through some early.
Να δούμε το P20. Πέθανε ο Φάμπιο, λογικά. Πεθάνει.
Ναι, θα πεθάνει.
Έλα Φάμπιο, που πεθάνεις. Καλά, έχεις πεθάνει βασικά ήδη. Τέλος πάντων. Αδεί το πούτι.
Πούτι αρίτο.
Ναι, Πούτι αρίτο, κολοβασίλειο από το Τεγίου του Πούτι. Ναι, να το Φάμπιο, πέθανε. Από το Ritual.
Τη βασιλόπτα του Αστεργίου.
Η βασιλόπτα έκανε full box. Ήρθε η βασιλόπτα του Αστεργίου και τον έκανε full box. Αυτό πέθανε ο Shadow, κρίμα. Α, και τον Breeze το βλέπω. Με το ψυχάλι.
Βες?
Ο Breeze. Κάτω δεξιά είναι, έτσι και το δεις. Ή δεξιά ο ψυχάλης. Τους βλέπω και αυτούς, τους είχα δει βασικά. Κάποιους έβλεπα παλιά, πριν κάνω quick τώρα. Ήταν affable.
Το 5K είναι.
Αλλά Ritual, το έχεις Ritual. Α, και ο Braze και ο Ritual είναι solo και οι δύο. Τους δύο. Καλά, ο Mopping στο high ground εγώ πιστεύω θα το πάρει. Απλώς σπαμάρουν μπρο αυτοί στο high ground. Απλώς σπαμάρουν και ταξίδουν μπρο, μια χαρά είναι.
174 τώρα θα πάνε, παίζει να βγει και top 3. Top 3, top 4 και θα πάει. 163 είναι τώρα το top 3. Και 61 το Quarry.
Ο Blake ρε μαλάκα. Ακόμα είναι. Το αναζιός. Έτσι για πάει win bro θα του χάσει μια μπουλιά. Αυτοί στο high ground bro θα το πάρουν πιστεύω.
Ναι. Μπορεί και αυτό να γίνει.
Preston and Blake though, listening to all the action go down here.
Αυτός ο Skliptrel, αυτός το ξέρω πώς λέγεται, Skliptrel. Αλλά θα έχει φάει πάρα πολλά. Τώρα πώς έχει και δεν είδα, αλλά έχει φάει.
Ο Preston ζει ακόμα. Ο Ritual κατά
έλα Ritual, το έχει Ritual. Μπράβο Ritual. Έλα και ο Braid από κάτω. Με το Mythic Shotgun ο Braid, bro. Τι στο High Ground θα το πάρουν, ξέρω. Γιατί θα έχουν Helix και αυτό παίζουν κάτω, αλλιώς θα είχαν πάει κάτω έτσι και δεν είχαν Helix.
Πεθαίνει ο
Πάει ο
Ritual.
Skittlix.
Το πήρε. Top 3, το χλάφερα.
Έλα Braid.
Και πρέπει να είναι πιο. Βγάζουνε win νομίζω.
Πέθανε. Το 4.
Ο Blake χλατσάρει το
Ω,
2.
αυτοί παίζουν το... Όχι, δεν το παίρνουν αυτοί. Έτσι, και το φέρω ο Blake, βρε.
Παίζει για να το παίρνει.
Μην πεις ότι το πήρε ο Blake. Δεν το πήρε ο Blake, όχι.
Όχι, το 2.
Ποιος το πήρε? Ω, μαλάκα με 20 HP. Αυτή στο high ground, όπως σου είπα. Μαλάκα ήταν 20 HP.
Αυτός ο Mags.
Αυτός που ήταν στο high. Μαλάκα. Ή και σε τέτοιο, και σε...
Πολύ φύγει.
Ολόφαρδος.
Δεν είναι εύκολο τώρα, κάτσε. Πώς έχει ο Blake 136, εντάξει, το 8.
Το 16.
Ποιος? Ο Blake το 8 είναι στο leaderboard και φύγει το 2. Το χλάτσα. Ο Richard το 4 με 7 kills. Μια χαρά το 4. Μια χαρά, μια χαρά. Εντάξει, το κάνουμε. Αυτός ο Hobby εδώ το 23. Μια χαρά, μια χαρά.
I mean, there was multiple times there, Vivid,
Nah,
where we're like,
harap
oh,
ay
yeah, it's going to be Javi and Amish on height. Okay, we're all good. Just like when we thought that Blake was going to win. We're like, oh, okay, we're all good. No, man, Max and Mopping were able to just kind of sneak in, take height away. I would love to rewatch this game and to see exactly how they did that, because it looked like Javi and Amish had such a distance for high ground and just such a command over it. So for them to be able to steal that away from such a notable team and then be able to carry that on into the very end against, like Zeke was saying, these big veterans like Ritual and Shadow and Blake. So big shout outs to Max and Mopping. I really love to see kind of newer names get highlighted during these heats. That is what it is all about.
Yeah, I can tell you right now from personal experience, Blink and you might have missed it. We literally were talking about that. It was like, yeah, so good up on the higher ground. You know, we were talking about how well they have done throughout those first two games. They make it all the way to the 12th zone. They don't really need much, and then it was like, whoa, Mopping and Max, they're up on the higher ground. All right, let's do a little bit of research on these guys, and sure enough, Max, he's made one FNCS Finals before. Mopping, this is now going to be his first FNCS Grand Final. So in back-to-back games, we've got a couple of players here on NA and Heat #1 making it to their first FNCS Grand Finals, but that was absolutely insane. It feels like that one got stolen out from under Blake. Oh, that was so close.
You know,
Μακάρι να ήταν το πίκο στο quad.
Μακάρι να ήταν το storm as long as that. Let's just make some, tiny little adjustments to make sure that doesn't happen again. With that being said, though, we do only have 2 games left to go. After this short break, we'll prepare ourselves for game number 4. We'll see you in just a moment.
Πάντα σε 2 λεπτά, 2,5 και το next. Το τέταρτο game ξεκινάει. Δεν παίζει να προλάβουν το 5ο game. Αυτό μόνο έχω να πω. Παίζει να μην προλάβουν να παίξουν το 5ο game.
Τι να πω μην προλάβουν.
Δεν προλάβουν νομίζω. Επειδή είναι...
προλάβουν, απλά από τις 4.30 ξέρω που τελειώνει θα τελειώσει 5. Αυτό σου λέω.
Αυτό. Μπορεί και αυτό να γίνει.
Δεν μπορεί, αυτό θα γίνει. Σίγα μην τους στερήσουνε. Ο Τζος Ράιλι και ο Elite Emzo τους έχεις δει καθόλου.
Τι?
Αυτός που λέει, Josh Riley και Elite Emzo. Τους έχεις δει καθόλου σε αυτό το gameplay, δηλαδή εννοώ...
Δεν ξέρω.
Σήμερα τους έχεις δει καθόλου.
Δεν ξέρω, στο U νομίζω δεν τους είχα δει, νομίζω.
Εννοώ σε αυτό ρε, στο NAE. NAE παίζουν και 2.
Νομίζω, δεν ξέρω. Δεν ξέρω, δεν τις είχα βρει. Δεν τις θυμάμαι να παίξω. Σου έχω κάνει κοινή, άμα είναι να μου πεις. Σου έχω κοινή να πεις από το leaderboard.
Αλλά δεν τους θυμάμαι ούτε εγώ. Ράις, Κέρκλι. Α, ο Ράις, ναι, τον θυμάμαι το Ράις.
Ναι, ο Ράις...
Και τον Κέρκλι.
Ναι, το 14 είναι.
Και τον Κέρκλι.
Ναι, τον Κέρλι.
Το Κέρλι.
It's okay. Μια χαρά.
Για πήγαινε, έχει κανένας κάπως, πήγαινε να δες Josh Riley ή Elite Emzo, το NAE.
Να πάω.
Τα leaderboards στο NAE, μη πας στο EU.
Ναι,
Και δες Elite Emzo ή Elite Emzo.
Are you sure? You seem worried, Zeke.
Ή
I don't think you
Josh
should be
Riley.
worried at all, though, because honestly,
Ίδιοι
today
είναι.
has been absolutely phenomenal.
Στην
We
ίδια
do
ομάδα είναι ο
only
κατάλαβας.
have 2 more games to go, though, before we find out which 15 duos is going to be making their way into the grand finals next week. And from what it looks like right now, Agers and Ritual are a shoo-in, Vivid.
Elite Emzo είπες.
I mean, it's no surprise, right? We talked
Elite
about how
Emzo
well
και
they did
Josh
the
Riley.
first couple of games as a duo, and then, you know, we kind of saw it. Oh,
Josh
Agers kind of going
Riley.
down a little bit early this game. Maybe this will be where they kind of slip on the leaderboard. As you can see, that's 5th zone. So Ritual playing out a majority of this game after Agers goes down here. But yeah, I mean, just an incredible performance from Ritual. We were kind of talking about it as it was happening. Like, Ritual has been in these moments before. He's been a solo, and he always makes something
Κάπου
happen.
περίπου στα 100 points
An
πες να έχουμε,
incredible
δεν
game
είμαι
for him
σίγουρη.
to actually pick up points here. That's a long time to play as a solo in a world full of duos, and he did so, by the way, as the player in the lobby ended that game with the most eliminations. He ended with 7.
Oh.
Wow,
and he literally was like so close to hitting storm
Alex
surge
nickname.
damage as well. So for him to kind of like toe that line, make sure that he's staying on the side of zone so that he's not taking too much aggression from everyone that's on the low and mid ground. Also being able to get elim after elim, that is so impressive. And you know, Zeke was actually asking and be like, hey, it's usually Agers that's like a solo at the end of these games, right? But honestly, Ritual and Agers, both of them can pull out these solo clutches. And it is just so exciting to see Ritual finally kind of, because you know, when you're on a team with Peter-Von Cold, maybe you get overshadowed just a little bit. So to see Ritual perform and get the highlight he deserves makes me so happy.
Yeah, I completely agree, right? Like, love having those opportunities and to catch them on broadcast, right? So awesome. They're currently in that #1 spot. In case you're tuning in, don't worry about the 1,000 points. That just means that duo has got a Victory Royale. They're going through to next weekend. So 4th place is essentially 1st place. So Agers and Ritual looking real good. Shadow and Burgos currently sitting in that 2nd place. It's interesting because like when you look at their stats, 2nd place 7 elims, 7th place 5 elims, and then we have a 7 with 5, right? So a little bit like all over the place, but to still be in 2nd place, like these guys are doing very, very well. I'm almost like thinking, do they even care about that VR right now, Kelly? Are they just like, yeah, we could get a VR, or we could just keep getting practice, right? We can continue to refine things and kind of show what we've got.
I mean, besides the most recent performance evaluation, we haven't had a Div Cup in quite a while, and I don't think there's any more really tournaments for this opportunity for them to practice in a duos set lobby. So maybe you're right. Maybe Shadow and Virgo, they're kind of foregoing the opportunity to auto-qualify just to be able to get more practice in. That wouldn't be the first time we have seen some of our top competitors kind of choosing to maybe not necessarily go for the Victory Royale. Obviously, they're not throwing. Shadow and Virgo are playing absolutely phenomenally, and that is why they're in our top 3 right now. But you might be onto something, Zeke.
I have ideas sometimes.
you know, Zeke, we know how this is going to go. Shadow and Virgo, they were going to do well today. And I'm happy that we're kind of talking about this duo because, you know, we know how everybody loves the stats. We always run them. We run them all the time. So why don't we go ahead and take a quick moment to break down some more of the numbers. This is going to be top 5 shotgun damage over the course of the first 3 games, right? Ritual, he's going to be up there. That solo clutch is going to be helping him out there. But like I mentioned, we're talking about Shadow and Virgo. He's up there second place right now with 1,060. And we got to give actually a shout out to Prez there. He's at 907. But the thing that's standing out for him right now is the fact that he actually picked up 670 of that damage in game number 3 with only 2 eliminations. So he jumped up an incredible amount right there in that game.
Woo. Okay, guys, we're coming down to the wire here. 2 games left to go. We need to get ourselves in gear because we need a victory out or to end in top 10. We want to keep the FNCS dream alive and not go to last chance qualifier. With that being said, casters, over to you.
That's right, and as you win, of course, the lobby gets lighter and lighter for Blake and Preston. Such a close game. I'm still thinking about how that all played out in those final moments, Jacob. Absolute nail-biter. I had my hands up. I thought it was all over, but you know what? They still needed those points because now at least they're in the running.
Yeah, it's one of those moments to where you can really narrow down these moments between did I make it in or not. But the moment for game 4 is here. Let's jump in.
All right, Jacob, game number 4. There's this opportunity and then the last, and that'll be it for heat number 1. So for some, of course, we're going to have some heartbreak here as we start gearing up for the last chance qualifier. But Blake and Preston back into the action here at the Latte Landing. We have seen them kind of dominate against Pluzzy's duo here time and time again. This seems to be the fastest that they've all kind of started this fight too, as far as pacing is concerned. And just in the last game too, though, they had other teams rotating in, so this has not been a free drop by any means, right? They really worked for it.
Yeah, each and every one of these moments, but they win another one of these fights. And honestly, after that last one, barely missing out on a final spot, they are definitely playing with pressure on again. This is one of those drops you talk about it. Is it a 50-50 or is it just one of those where you kind of just drop and hope for the best? Either way, they're finding some consistency in a drop like that. But Rise and Curly from Painted Palms, they were kind of pushed out towards the north by this team. This went from a fight that didn't happen in game 1 to a fight in game 4 that is stretched far north to the actual POI. Rise clutches up, giving him and Curly a chance here. And what's so important is you look at the leaderboard, 104 points is the current amount of points to be on that bubble. Thanks to those eliminations, Rise and Curly is another team on 104.
Yeah, you wouldn't even think that it'd be that close, let alone have a team like Rise and Curly riding the coattails of the qualification line right now. Here you have it. So nice quick elims here, at least keeping them in the game. And, you know, I wonder where their mental's at right now, right? Like, coming up short time and time again, not quite finding those big placement points in the end. Game 4, it's time to dig deep, pull your way out the trenches. Ritual. Normally by this time we'll see them already have had a set of Elans, so it seems like Sandy Strip and the teams that have been here noticed how well they've been performing and giving them some more room to work with the team.
You can almost kind of see why, because, you know, Bucky and Zen qualified early. That was a team that landed right below them. Next up, Noisy and Neo, another team that landed right below them. And so a lot of their teams they normally push more damage ain't necessarily there, but the fight on the north side of the map, you see it's being contested, not necessarily the 50-50 we're normally used to seeing, but Boji and DK still end up the victors of this spot, but with only 28 points. They almost need back-to-back second places with elims, or they need to win one of these next 2 games.
Yeah, as of right now, they have to have a huge game to put them in the conversation. Don't count anybody out yet. Even in that last game, Nash and Moffin came out of nowhere. All of a sudden secured that victory royale. That's the exciting part here. Everyone can still be a winner. Again, Scuffy's another team that's very much out of the race right now, really trying to claw their way back in.
Έλα.
Λέω τέτοιες ωραίες πέθανε με τον Γκέρλι.
then you have Tony behind them watching the rotate come in, so this is gonna get real messy real quick.
Ο Μπλικ και ο Πρέστον ακόμα ζουνε. Εντάξει. Αλλά τώρα που σάρουν πολύ, τώρα τι θέλουνε.
A fight that you could know that's going to happen. Michael and Cryptify versus their opponents on the other side. Ultra is going to be left by himself because they already cleaned up one elimination here. You see him just trying to hold on, allowing Cryptify to get the double minis off. But this is where now with the numbers advantage, they go to try to make a play. Using the gloves to try to get up. It's not enough for Ultra. He's going to go down. And so already with 2 game wins from Ultra and his duo, now to 2 game wins for Cryptify and Michael Frog.
Just going back and forth here. Agers, Ritual find themselves up against Cash and Boogie here. It's the clash that we saw them be successful in before. However, it's happening earlier now. Like you mentioned, those other teams that have followed through really have forced them into some other fights if they want to find their surge early. Doesn't seem like this one's actually really kicked off just yet, at least judging by the amount of heals I see inside of Agers loadout. Passion team are kind of sitting idle right now. Meanwhile, Jasper, Tib find themselves nice little elim there. The full finish here to build his barracks.
Kind of rotating south. They're one of those teams near 4 fields. Instead of just fighting for the actual loot and the spot and early damage, they say, hey, we have 76 points. One good game here, we're in contention of grabbing one of those spots. So I like the different approach to this game plan. This is how they were able to pick up at least one of those eliminations there. They're able to drop on, probably surprise the team there. Something that they haven't done in some of those previous games. And this is where you kind of have those tricks underneath your sleeve. You save them for the rest of the tournament. And it kind of gives you that extra little boost that you need to qualify.
We've definitely seen teams pull the strats out from the Heats windows. Meanwhile, Shadow Virgo pretty much had done enough to be inside the top 10 via consistency. This is the first we're seeing them get what I would call aggressive in the early game, right? Every other early game, they've kind of played it safe, played for the end game. We've given them a lot of praise for their ability to stay consistent. But now you have Andrew here. And the Spider-Man just kind of sitting back. Guns drawn, ready to do the thing. They missed the first shot, missed the first shot.
Κάποιος από το chat να βοηθήσει, τα μάτια μου είναι έτοιμα να αυτοκτονήσουν. Δεν μπορώ. Αυτοκτονήσω από την κούραση.
Good damage to kind of follow up on, but not enough to break the confidence that Shadow and Virgo are currently playing with. 163 points, almost nothing to lose here as the shots come in again from Shadow up above the different angles. Seems like almost too much for Andrew and his duo to fight back from. Again, being pressured, walls being stolen, Shadow just being persistent here. Virgo from the other side, closing down options. There goes the first knock. Andrew goes down, and the cleanup from Shadow and Virgo. You talk about their lack of aggression in the early game, and this is right now looking like they're ramping things up.
It's the most versatile duo in the lobby.
Καταφέρω τα βάζανε πιο νωρίς παρά τώρα.
And honestly, the angles on Shadow there easily overwhelm them. I don't think they expect to get hit from up top. So, well played for them. Aoxy, Jojo Fishy, team that started off had a bit of a footing kind of in this, but here slipped down, trying to find their way back in. They're at the Wonky Land right now. So there's other duos to the north, 2 teams actually.
If you want to see how a format like this changes things up a little bit for Aoxy and Jojo Fishy. Normally it was Sniper Dude, Avenger versus Max and Mopping, and for Aoxy and Jojo Fishy, they stayed at a distance to get Surge. But now that Max and Mopping win a game in finals, no longer here, that kind of opens up a little bit of space. So I'm a little bit of surprised to see Sniper Dude and Avenger so far away from the mending machine, but you may probably have different plans to rotate in. But it just goes to show as the game continues on, it opens up different avenues and different strategies. Nut and Brom continue to find key eliminations here in the game. That's 2 overall. That's 6 extra points before placement even come in. Positioned up. About those placement points. Everyone will welcome them, but for the Tick and Mafia, they just need to coast their way into an end game at this point. I was really impressed by what they were doing last game, but
Not sure what team it was rolled up on them. They got smashed. But they all of a sudden lost their position kind of in that mid to high ground there. Give that a second. Scuffy's in day, okay? Still a fight that seems to be going well for them right now. Actually sitting on top of the opponents, but man, it's in the storm. Anything can happen when you're kind of taking the risk here, fighting in the zone.
One thing you feel like you know for sure, fighting this far out of the zone, is the likelihood of a third party coming in. It's almost slim to none. Wouldn't say it's impossible, but for Bloods and Akai, they just cannot play to the fact that maybe a third party will come in. Scuffy and Day, they may not know exactly where they're at. Bloods healing here may give the audio visuals up a little bit, but if they don't necessarily hear where it's coming from, they might not know where to go. So instead of staying and overstaying, you're welcome here. It does look like Day and Scuffy's, they've had enough of this fight, because remember, early on in the game, before the fight even started, you saw them lurking in this direction, so they spent a lot of time and likely resources. I just hope they got what they wanted out of it.
A little bit of damage for some is going to be more than enough to at least be content. You have to assume so, especially when you're kind of like under the 20 points in the game so far. So realistically, you know, playing an end game is going to feel way better than, you know, risking it all here and now. Braid's visuals though have committed early to the high ground positioning, and I respect it. They've had more than enough time to go in and bounce back, refarm all their material. Here though, they're getting a bit curious. I wonder what they left back here. What is he going for?
Yeah, I'm just not sure Braids has a chance right now to get a Minish's card. It's just a matter of can he get a Minish kind of back in the game right now. So it might be no other option but to go outside of the zone to try to get that opportunity. Seeing the beat Curly and Rise eliminated 104 points. One of 3 teams on that 104 marker. And as of now, that's the threshold, so they're going to have to go into that last and final game of the day to try to clutch up a grand final spot. Otherwise, they're going to be going through that LCQ. Every team that does not make it into LCQ through not only the heats today, but throughout the weekend, will have that final shot in the last chance qualifier, where it's 5 more games, you win a game, and you are in.
That last chance qualifier super soon, too. Early next week, so we'll be seeing you there as well. For now, back with Ritual. Where is Agers? Did the fight go south for them, or did Ritual manage to end up solo here? Guys seem like he is by himself. So we have Braids by himself. We have Rituals by himself now. He's still eyeing up Cash and Boogie. This seems to be pretty personal at this point.
See him just kind of waiting. With the 6 different pizza slices, 5 different shockwaves, there's a vending machine right to his north. It's just all about timing. Whether he has Ager's reboot card or not, you got to imagine they do have the gold, so he definitely has some flexibility, whether you kind of realize it or not. See Sandy Strip behind him, so there's a lot of time left on the board for Ritual to make a play. But even if he doesn't, the way he's been playing as a solo in multiple games so far, I still got to have that confidence in him to try to make things work, because if they're not already qualified with their points, there may be just a few more away.
Yeah, I mean, last game he surely popped off in the end game even by himself. Definitely saw that. Ritual just adding to the highlights. Meanwhile, Blake and Preston fighting back with the vengeance here. So they got that 2 elims. Preston's getting a little bit of pressure coming in from behind here, but Blake being as cool as ever, bending up, trying to play defense here. It's actually Cash and Boogie tagging them on the rotate right now. Blake, Preston go for the shockwave off in the north side. Meanwhile, Ritual kind of goes back into the storm, right? Going straight for that reboot van here. There is still teams lurking in the storm. This is the dangerous thing about kind of zone 5, zone 6. You know, you never really know, right? People do tend to stay behind way later than you'd expect. Even here and now. Whoa.
Yeah, that 37. That's what's really going to scare me, because even with Agers back in the game, they're on a clock here to try to get damage. You talked about other teams in the distance. Visuals and Braids in a very, very similar situation, having to get that reboot back. Don't know where their status is currently when it comes to Storm Surge, but that's 2 teams coming from the north side of the map that might clash as this game progresses. Jump on board. Dragon and Creon. 61 above the damage threshold, looking to connect with a few more shots to climb that leaderboard even a little bit more. But somebody trying to make a sneak attack from down underneath. Catch them slipping, but they have that all-seeing eye, so they make sure nothing sneaks its way through.
Ritual's back in the game here. Agents that are back on the ball. Look at this. The prime opportunity. Visuals and Braid, as we knew, Visuals already had to get picked up and saved anyways. They're 35 below, so this is a desperate time to fight, and you can't stay in the zone. I was just going to say, look at the 5 tick. Right now, we're getting into the dangerous end game of the storm here. Ritual, though, coming in late. Surely the team above them is going to be thinking about whether or not they need to push this team right now.
Uh-oh.
Breeds. Dangerous falls. Oh, no.
Active Storm Surge. Instead of getting knocked, straight elimination. All
Ποιο
that
βλέπει είναι
hard
αυτή
work
που
from Rituals
πετάει
to get
πάνω να
Agers
μας
back in the
συγκεκριμένα.
game right out the window, and he's less than 15
Και το βλέπω μόνο
seconds
στα
away from going down
hits και δεν το
39
βλέπω γενικά
HP
στο
to
rank.
24.
Εγώ το
And it
έχω
looks
πετύχει
like
καν
he's just
αυτό.
gonna wait this one
Το
out.
πράγμα.
He's okay with getting eliminated here, denying at least 3 more points away from everybody else. But Allo, listen, they probably heard that surge strike go down, they probably heard the elimination, and they quickly jump on over to carry up that loop.
And look, they actually got the credit there too. It's pretty unfortunate for Ritual, but it's all good. Love the little shout there to the official FNCS outfit. Love to see it. So much happening inside of Fortnite. Plenty to celebrate this weekend. As the community said, FNCS is back. Look at this fight right here.
6-7. Πάμε Φάμπιο. Πάμε Φάμπιο. No.
Πέθανε.
Φάμπιο, no.
Πέθανε το επιτρέπεται.
I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Vertify is barely in the game there to siphon
Φάμπιο.
just in the nick of time, but no, he's
Φάμπιο,
still
no.
83 below here, Jacob.
Πάει το Φάμπιο.
Και ο Vertify θα
Πάει το
πεθάνει.
Φάμπιο,
Trying to
no.
catch up and keep up with his own.
48
Barely able to
points
survive.
HP,
Down
ναι.
to just 1 HP. 31 damage below. And spotted out
Ζει ο
by
Blake τουλάχιστον.
everybody north
Ζει ο
of him on
Blake
that
και ο
rotation. That's gonna be a
Bucky.
big elimination for them. They
Ποιος
just
τον
get
γαμάει
one
το
more
Blake,
chance.
bro.
The 5th and final game of the day.
Ναι, ζει ο Bucky.
Μπούσκι το Blake.
Qualify for the finals through heat so that they don't have to go through the grueling LCQ. But you
Τα
can see
τσιτόπεδα του
Hobby
NAE.
finished getting tagged up on their way
Τσίγες.
there. Over 100 above the damage threshold. That dropped them below 50, but they're still above it.
Yeah, Surge just turning online, continuing to stay active zone to zone. And that's that
Να τι άτομα
desperation
παίζουν στο
kicking in here.
FNCS του NAE
As this is game number
και δεν παίζουμε
4.
εμείς.
The last opportunities are before us here. Visuals Braids getting back into the action here. Really impressive though. You have to consider the fact that with Visuals being fully eliminated, right, taking out the game, resetting all that damage, bouncing back in it, now being above it as if they never were below is so impressive. When was the last time you saw Harpoon being
I
sniped
would
up like
literally
that? That feels like a
just thinking
throwback.
that.
Oh my gosh.
And to just harpoon a slap-a-roni pizza. That just goes to testament of literally what you're talking about. Visuals down, Braids by himself. A great spot in zone that he had to give up just to get this reboot. And now if you look at their loadout, you would almost never guess they were down in the first place. It's Virgo
26.
taking a big shot, forced it back up. Lucky
Και
for
τέταρτο
him,
η
they
ώρα,
never
έχουν
got
ένα
the
τέταρτο
elimination.
τώρα,
You
δεν
can
θα
see what
τρελαθώ.
they're fighting for, all the loot right in front. A worthwhile
Θα έχει
sacrifice
σίγουρα
for
το
them because
μισάωρο
they're
ακόμα, θα
already
έχουν
in
σίγουρα
towards the
ένα
zone. More so
60,
towards the
30
north side
λεπτό.
where you see not too many teams are currently
Για το last game,
Finished.
οπότε έχουν λίγο
High ground
time.
Javi, though, just on the edge of storm. I want to see if it's actually flowing this way. That'd be a pleasant surprise since they committed pretty early. Oh, and it is. Okay. So, I mean, they don't have a lot of material, though, to kind of hold this. And, yeah, you can see even a minute here just eyeing up some of that loot down low. Thinking if it's even worth it. Probably not to go down, obviously. However, you have to do something here and now. There it is. Rex's team ends up setting that all up.
Ο Bucky είναι μου δίνει ότι έχει παίξει μόνο ένα μάτς. Bug είναι αυτό.
Big damage though. Wow. Triggering through.
Μόνο για points μου δείχνει.
look like Hobby hit every bullet in that clip, but one of
Επειδή
two
έχει πάρει το
shockwave
win,
being
το είναι
used.
και
They have
αυτό.
one more as a team, and you can kind of see why they're going for that fight. High ground's fine and dandy, but if you don't have the resource to hold it, it could cost you almost everything in a game like this. Multiple teams going from point A to point B, but it's Creon and Dragon that stop with the elevated
Ο Blake
layer.
το παίζει
That
μια
could
χαρά
be a
το
threat to their high
pushy.
ground.
Goes back. Blake in pressing another end game here, but saw that damage coming in. You have to assume it's Javi once again just connecting with that pistol. Meanwhile, Preston.
154. Αν πάρουμε τώρα, ξέρω εγώ, 20 points, κάνουν guarantee qual, κάνανε, νομίζω. Με ένα top 5, top 4.
Honestly, being in that situation of that last game, coming into this with a whole fire, so you can get the elimination. Javi and Diminish, though, get beat on their high ground. Stolen away for a short moment, and we talked about how much material they expended early on just to get it the first time. They have to give it up. Risen and Aldo perfectly played, because they don't even end up in a fight with another team interrupting the mix. They get it all to themselves, but Jojo, Fishy, and Aoxy, they're not letting that opportunity out of their sight. They put some pressure onto the high ground, trying to chop them down once, but Aldo and Listen, they reconnected, but you can see it's barely being held together by one wall and ramp.
And Blake on the low ground actually found a refresh there in the end as well, but look at this, a Minish trying to clutch up. So low right now, these are big points being earned here, but he's only got 5 builds left.
Αυτός ο RXN τώρα θα το πάρει σίγουρα τώρα. Σίγουρα γιατί έχουν το high αυτό τώρα. Έχουν full high, οπότε θα τους πατήσουν όλοι αυτό. Ο Listen dead.
Big elims, and it really matters. It makes the difference here at the end of the day. Blake and Preston still trying to control as much of this low ground as possible, but Blake goes down. Again, top 8 situation, so at least half of the placement points have already been grabbed up. So for Preston, it's almost like everything is bonus. Dragon ends up in a fight, beaming from across the map. Creon's able to save the day, build to protect himself, but you can see he's fresh out of material, down to the very last heals as well. Preston looking strong, though, all things considered, as a solo.
Still has the chug as well, so has a couple options to play with right now.
Ο Highway γύρισε κάτι στο πυρδέξι. Σλέψει. Σλέψει το πυρδέξι. Και εκεί...
Preston there. Preston with a monstrous shot onto both of them, and Dragon, Creon are just getting hunted down. The finish comes in from the tail end there. It's not Preston's points, but it is
Τελείωσε το game.
Το πήρε ο Σλέψη να ξέρει το win. 2v1 είναι. Ο Σλέψη. Με τον Preston. Το έχουν πάρει. Ο Preston βγαίνει top 2. Να ξέρεις. Ναι, top 2 βγήκε, εντάξει. Όχι, top 3. Λέω. 3.
Για κάτσε περίμενε, θα το δω.
Ο Wiggers πήρε το win.
Ο Preston, ναι, top 3 και win. Κάτσε να δω τι πήρα. Να σου πω εγώ να με τέτοιο. Να μου αντέψω, νομίζω. Όντως, όλες δεν έχει. Οι άλλοι. Κάτσε πως το λένε τους άλλους. Ο Sleepzy και ο άλλος, ναι. Ο Sleepzy, εντάξει. Ναι, ο άλλος δεν είχε φέρει στο SMG του, μπράβο.
Ωραία. Και έχουν 11 λεπτά.
Παραλίγο να το πάρει 2v1 όμως.
Αυτό ισχύει. Παραλίγο, πήγαινε να κάνει
μετά. Ήταν ο άλλος και το White και ο άλλος 30.
Μια χαρά πάει. Μια χαρά πάει και το NAE.
Kelly, bring the board back out. We're starting the day over. Wow. No.
Έπρεπε να είχα δει το EU, ρε μπρο.
Αυτό, δεν σ' αύριο, πρέπει να δεις αύριο το EU.
I think what's really interesting about this.
Ναι, τι ώρα είναι αύριο?
6 ώρα.
And Listen and Allo were actually 13, right? So if we look at that top 5, this is basically like 9th and 10th kind of fighting it out. So this means now everyone's getting pulled up in the leaderboard. So for game number 5, it's going to be super close. But I'm excited to see that Slepsy Wagers got themselves that VR, right? Again, confidence boost. Now it's one thing. Focus on next week's finals. Really prep and bring everything you've got, because you've got Summit Land. You can't miss that.
I mean, Zeke, beyond them even getting this victory royale,
120 points to qual.
Over the course of the first 3 games to getting 13 eliminations in that one game. Easily the most amount of eliminations that we've seen so far, if not probably the rest of the day.
Μπες.
Να δω τα leaderboard λίγο.
Ναι, ναι. Το Fortnite το έχεις ανοιχτό από το PlayStation σου.
Όχι, αφού βλέπω τέτοιο, αφού βλέπω YouTube.
Α, νόμιζα ότι το κινητό σου έβλεπες.
Όχι, ωραία.
Κάτσε να κάνω μια τέτοια. Να τα... Ωραία, εντάξει. Έλα, ορίστε.
Ωραία. Πώς τώρα.
Τι θες να δεις?
Να το δω λίγο όλο, να δω και σε ποια θέση φύγεται και τέτοια.
Όταν είναι πες μου να κουνήσω.
Ναι, ο Blake και ο Verstappen μαλάκα είναι πάνω από τον Ager και το Ritual ρε μπρο. Soaring και Shadow.
Εντάξει και πάλι ο Ritual κάνει qual.
Έτσι κάνει qual ο Blake ρε μαλάκα.
Πόσο να πάει το...
Για πήγαινε μια στο Blake να δω το... Πάτα μια πάνω στο Blake, στο match history του. Το 47, το 5, το 2, το 3. Οκ. Αλλά πήγαινε πιο κάτω τώρα να δω και τους άλλους. Κι άλλο stop εκεί.
Εδώ τα ξέρω.
Α, ο άλλο αυτός που βγήκε δεύτερος τώρα. Το 10 είναι. Η Χάλης και ο Blazed. Ο Skitter. Είναι στο κόλλα.
Ναι, ο Skitter ναι, στο κόλλα είναι.
Για πήγαινε πιο κάτω. Α, ο Τζοφί. Για πάμε να δούμε μια το Φάμπιο τι top είναι. Top 40 εγώ πιστεύω θα είναι ο Φάμπιο.
Top 30.
Top 30 ο Φάμπιο.
Ναι. Κακό
πόσα
match
άτομα
history.
παίζουν συνολικά. Το ξέρω εγώ, full κακό match history.
Παίζουνε το 50. 50 teams.
Αυτός ο τελευταίο βίωξη και ο τέτοια είναι full pur.
Πώς το έχουν λούσει έτσι απορώ ειλικρινά αυτό. Αυτό εδώ ειλικρινά.
Ακόμα και εμείς να παίζαμε ρε μαλάκα, περισσότερα τέτοια θα πάραμε.
Ισχύει. Όλα top 48, top 40.
Top 48, top 48, top 48, top 40 ρε μαλάκα. Και ο Φάμπιο δεν το όλες ότι είναι και χάλια, μπορεί. Άμα πάρει win.
Αν πάρει win, εντάξει.
Ναι, άμα πάρει win μπορούν και οι τελευταίοι ας πούμε, να πούμε πρώτοι.
Καλά, δεν ξέρω πώς θα πάει το qual. Θα πάει 150, 160 το πολύ.
Ναι, σίγουρα 167 εγώ λέω.
Και εγώ 170, 180 εκεί.
Το γάμο τον Πρέζα και τον Φάμπιο.
Δεν θυμάμαι, κάτσε μια να δω λίγο στο EU πόσα ήτανε.
Για δες στο EU.
Α,
είναι Central, δεν είναι NAE. Ναι, θέλω να δω και το...
143 ήταν.
Μόνο 143, τι λέτε.
Ναι. Κάτσε να το ποιο είναι...
Το Βίκο ρε μαλάκα. Ο Σάρκ μπρο πήγε... Πάλι εντάξει στο game που νίκησε ο Τόμας, στο πρώτο νομίζω game. Στο πρώτο game βγήκε δεύτερος ο Σάρκ. Για δες, ο Σάρκ. Το παίξει είναι ο Σάρκ.
Το παίξει. Έλα, ορίστε το μάτι.
Το πρώτο game βγήκε top 2.
Ναι.
Top 2, top 2, top 3 μαλάκα.
Αυτό. Τρελό. Κάνει ο Σάρκ χουάλ και δεν κάνει... Ναι, και δεν κάνει ο Μαλιμπούκα.
Ναι.
Πώς δεν έκανε ο Μαλιμπούκα από ρόλο.
Μαλιμπούκα θα βράζει. Ο τελευταίος για να δω ποιος είναι ο τελευταίος.
Ο Αντικ.
Ούτε ένα point. Γιατί ούτε ένα point, αδέρφε.
Ειλικρινά από όλο.
Ούτε ένα point ρε μαλάκα. Το μάτσι, ήθελα να πάω να δεις το μάτσι history του. Το τελευταίο. Το τελευταίο.
Ωραία, πάω, εντάξει.
Το 47, 43, 31, 37. Για πήγαινε και στον 49, το 49. Εντάξει, τουλάχιστον πήρε ένα point από kill. 3 points από kill.
PR δεν έχουν αυτά.
Once again, in this last game, We saw
Δεν ξέρω αν έχουν πιάρει ή όχι, δεν ξέρω.
I don't know about you guys.
Τα hits.
For a moment, I was like, I really hope they did not take the time of Storm. It was like, I already saw Preston like at the end. You know, like I really believed in my heart of hearts that Blake was just gonna get through. But they're still looking really good, right? They're in a very good spot.
Έχει κι άλλο τέτοιο.
But we still need to have.
Έχει καμία διαφορά. Το ίδιο νομίζω είναι.
Το NAE και το NAE Central, αλλά είναι το ίδιο λες.
Ναι, γιατί και το NAE West νομίζω. NAE West. Α, όχι, το NAE West είναι. Α, καλά. Α, καλά, αυτό τώρα.
Πόσα NAE είναι, κάτσε, πόσα NAE είναι.
3 νομίζω. Ναι, 3.
NAE East, NAE Central, NAE West, ναι, 3. Εντάξει, είπατε. Τα δύο είναι ίδια μαζί, τα δύο.
Ναι. Το ίδιο είναι. Και το δύο.
Μπορεί να παίζει στο τέτοιο, στο άλλο, το κλικς και τέτοιο.
Στο EU θα παίζει μόνο και στο NA, δεν ξέρω.
NA Central, βέβαια. Για δες το Division 1 ποιοι το πήραν.
The only thing that's got me confused, it's like I feel like over the course of these last couple of games, games 3 and 4, and you know what, I'll just throw games 1 and 2 in the mixture there. Oh my gosh, if you just saw that.
Ο Μουζακίτης. Νάτος, ο Τζος Ράιλε και ο Elite Emser, το πεφτά.
Every single game, they have been on light for at least some.
104 Ελλήνη.
Ο Peterbot δεν είναι ρε μπρο, Falcon Peterbot. Falcon Peterbot, Peterbot.
Μπορεί να παίζει στα EU μόνο, δεν ξέρω. Ή παίζει να μην κάνανε call, μπορεί και αυτό. Πώς κάνανε κάτι. Το P100, το P150 είναι EU, μάλιστα.
I will say, every time we've watched them in the end game, it does look like Hobby and Diminished are kind of waiting a little bit patiently to go for high ground. They're not going it for too early, which we've seen some teams make that mistake. But they're going for high ground, and it feels like they're doing it just because they feel like they need to. And they don't have really the loadout or the materials to be able to hold high ground. But I think that they're in their mind, they're just like, oh, well, this is the win condition. We need to go for high ground right now. So they're going for it regardless of what their loadout's looking like.
Α, όχι, να το. Falcon Peter. Α, το P157. Ναι, δεν έκανε call. Δεν έκανε call για πόσα points, κάτσε 2.76. Α, καλά, για 2 points δεν έκανε call.
Το 150 είναι στο NAE.
Το 157 το 57. Άρα δεν παίζει. Εκτός αν έκανε call το day 1. Άμα κάνει το day 1 δεν μετράει, νομίζω. Άμα έχει κάνει τη μία μέρα.
Ο Κόλτιο Rapid, μαλάκα. Α, Falcon Peter με τον Falcon Polo, το 8.
Άρα λογικά θα έχουν πέρα, έχουν κάνει call. Day 1. Μια χαρά. Άντε σε ένα λεπτό θα προλάβουν να μπουν, είναι 29.
Το πάει από 4 και μισή, το πάει 4 και 50. 50 και 5.
Kelly, you kind of have to be like, hey, this is it. This is our one game to either get top 10, get a VR, or hope that someone in top 10 gets a VR and pulls us up into the top 10. Like, it's so complex.
I love that you bring that up.
Και μένουν σχεδόν 20 σεκόντ για να πάει 4,5.
Kind of the opportunity for some of our maybe tier 2, tier 3 teams to really shine because a lot of our bigger teams have already qualified through. But if you look at like the names that we still have in contention as well as the teams that we have that have already qualified through, it's a lot of our veterans that are still in the competition right now. So maybe that opportunity for someone to steal away a victory royale in the final game is no longer there, Vivid.
Yeah, obviously we're using the EU as a reference point, right? 143 points was what it required over there. I do want to know, obviously, this is probably going to be different over here on NA, but one thing that I would not be surprised to see kind of happen is what we saw over on EU was actually the jump in the threshold. Going into Game 5, top 15 was 95 points on EU, and then it ended up being 143. So that threshold changed by like 50 points just over the course of that last game. So, yeah, even though you're around that top 15 spot, these teams cannot feel safe or secure for their grand finals ticket.
Man, oh man, you do not want to take it to the last chance, right? Last chance
Τι
qualifier is
τελείωσε?
hard. You know, you do not want to take it there. You want to get a VR here.
Δεν
We're in the top 10.
δεν προλάβω να
One
παίξουμε
game left to go for the last
last game.
time today. MDF,
Αποκλείεται.
Jacob, over to you.
It's already sad to see, Monster, that we're in the last game
Πρέπει
of
να
the
προλάβουμε.
game. Luckily, we have Heats 2 and 3 tomorrow, but this is the team's last chance to make it in through Heats before they go through the LCQ.
Α, όχι, μπήκαν. Ο Fox Abbas.
Let's get right into it.
Ναι, έλα.
That's right, game 5 is here, the last one of the evening on NA. A little bit of a late show as well, so thanks to everyone staying up, watching some good Fortnite here. You saw that top 15. Vivid made an excellent point. This threshold is going to jump up by a significant number. Now, I saw teams that I recognize.
Άρα και να μην παίζει τώρα ο Πίτερ που θα παίξει στα finals την άλλη εβδομάδα λογικά ή στο last chance. Κάτι από τα δύο πιστεύω.
Very experienced veteran teams that are not inside the top 15, or better yet, barely hanging on.
One of those moments to where everything you played for from the start of the year, technically up until now, truly gets put to the test. And right now, that point threshold is 125 points. It's obviously going to increase as the day goes on. But Prom, this is one of those teams that was going for that straight 50-50 right out of the gate, right on the drop, and they haven't been winning it. That's why you don't see very many points on them. I like their strategy to switch teams up. With 4 games already done and gone, 4 drop spots open up, why not play yourself out and give yourself a shot?
Love it. I love seeing duos have a winner's mentality, not giving up. That's the beauty of like this entire Heats format, the LCQ, situation we have on hand. You really do have a chance. These players scrim, practice, and play all types of other competitive in-game lobbies, and they've won, right? So they know it's all possible. It's just a matter of piecing it all together. And yeah, this may not be the most difficult stage, so yeah, you should be trying to win every single game, every chance you got, regardless of points.
Rising Curly this time around. We saw in game 1, they split this drop. They actually performed decently well. The rest of the games, they kind of fought it out. They had some successes, but also some downfalls. This time around, they're going back to just playing this game out. They're trusting their game IQ. They're trusting their strategy. My only worry for them is they're getting a little too close to Sandy Strip, Agers, and Ritual, who have almost nothing to lose in this last game of the day. You jump around, new Sanctuary, south side of the map. We've got Illusion and Vivifies over here, and this is one of those contested drops to where even if you win it, it's so hard to make it out alive because New Sanctuary is kind of in a canyon in towards the middle, and there's so many teams and split drops around that are going to box up, knowing you have to leave and try to get surge tags on you.
And right now, obviously, they don't have any visuals on the outskirts, so folks can just roll up, set up an ambush. Think about ambushes. Yora kind of boxed in down here, caught out, trying to steal some loot. Caught with the hand in the cookie jar, if you will. Already lost his teammate, and there goes the full finish. So, vibes looking pretty good right now. Big finish up, clean up, looks just about the way they want.
Πάει ο Γιώρα. Παντούταλε.
Back to the other side. So, Rising Curly rotate into Ritual and Agers. Rituals and Agers, I feel like after last game, probably one.
Ακόμα μπλε και ο Μπόκι ζούνε. Ο τέτοιος, ο Ρίτσουαλ, ο Ρίτσουαλ έχει το 7 είναι. Μια χαρά.
Thinking they're gonna want to play a serious.
Ρίτσουαλ πιστεύω θα κάνει equal, bro.
Αυτό.
Πιστεύω, έχει κάνει ήδη equal. 190 points. Γιούνα 143.
Already looted that side of Sandy Strip, and when they typically push out of their POI, it's towards the east of Fort Field. It's towards the southeast side of the map, so they don't necessarily return to that northern part of Sandy Strip this early in their game plan, so they might have escaped possible danger, but there's other teams nearby, so hopefully for Rise and Curly, they don't get caught off guard and able to scrap together a loadout they feel confident going into the rest of the game with.
Talking about TK, you see his team off in the distance. Seems like they put Rogue's team on the heels. Deoxy and Jojo watch it go down. It's a team that is in contention, essentially, for the consistency placement points. Still have a ways to go, but an endgame is not out of the conversation, definitely not out of reach. Shadow and Berg on the other side, getting their hands absolutely messy here. Chasing down visuals and braids. I don't really remember where we left off on their points, but like we talked about it, no one is
Πάει ο Virtual, πέθανε.
Πώς ο Ritual?
Ο Virtual, όχι ο Ritual, ο Virtual.
heights are they? Okay, so they're, I want to say what, 15 would be a 125.
Ο Ritual, ακόμα εντάξει, μια χαρά.
Place right now, visually
Ai, eu
played,
ψυχάλης.
153. Things will change up
Δεν
if
έκανε
a team
καλό
above them wins a
ψυχάλης.
game, so it's not exact, but going into this game, about
Πάμε
13
τελικά αυτός τι απέγινε.
the point gap is so close, outside of maybe teams, inside of the
όχι, εντάξει, ακόμα ζει, εντάξει, μια χαρά.
one mistake could cost you your qualification through heats into the grand finals.
Και παίρνει, ξέρω εγώ, αυτός ο Φάμπιο win τώρα.
Θα κάνει το καλύτερο τέτοιο, το καλύτερο YouTube βίντεο. Έτσι και δεν κάνει κάτι καλό τώρα. Έτσι δεν πάρει win βασικά. Έτσι και δεν ήξε εγώ το 3 και κάτω. Δεν θα το κάνει. Πάει ο Ιτζερς. Μαλάκα τώρα λίγο να πεθάνει.
Yeah, Adrian's almost left the grid in that one, but Tibbs has to leave Jasper's reboot behind. Off he goes.
Αυτός, κάτσε, αυτός ο Φάμπιο που λες EU player είναι ή και σε NAE και σε EU παίζει?
Ναι.
Οκ. Νομίζω ότι παίζει και σε EU.
Finished up the deed on one player, kind of jump in, find Andrew and his duo here as well. Over at the studios, so we'll play for them. Already at 3 elims right now. This is the other side of Virgo and Shadow, almost the play-in side that we missed out on, right? Watching them play so aggressive, but look at this, Adrian, what's going on?
Ο Ritual παραλίγο να πεθάνουν.
Push here, and it's Rituals coming through, cleaning things up. Rituals just seems to be playing like insanely well tonight.
Yeah, and if you're Agers though, that's got to be a whole nother
Δεν
level of
πέθανε.
confidence. Saying, hey, I went down early, we're still going well. I went down a little bit early in another game. I got rebooted. I can count on Ritual. And there's just another example. And honestly, I can kind of see when you're playing with, like Kelly said, Peterbot and Cold in a trio format, somebody has to do the boring work, and that was Ritual most of the time. Now we're seeing him in a duo setting, and he is
6-7.
Yeah, definitely. Look at this.
Πήγε να πεθάνει πολύ στο Aegis.
Dash roll Agers to keep himself alive and in the game. Gotta respect the effort at the end there, but yeah, Rituals has been playing honestly exceptional Fortnite. And again, you talk about someone who's got like this IGL title, right? Like on his shoulders, but man,
Τύψο μπάνιο. Ο Skittlers. 120, στο όριο είναι αυτός.
Ο Virtual πέθανε 153 points στο 12. Στο όριο είναι.
Ω, μπορεί να μην κάνει.
place team, 16th or 11th in terms of overall consistency. They're only 5 points down, Monster. And I said this earlier, we've seen FNCS majors be decided by less than one elimination. Why not a trip to the grand finals as well? Shadow and Virgo.
Και αυτός ο Φάμπιος ακόμα στο όριο είναι.
You said it early on to start this game. They're getting a little bit more aggressive early on this game, unlike any other one that we've seen so far. And they're continuing that trend.
Πόσα points έχει ο Φάμπιο?
48.
Into that box.
48. Και top 2 να πάρουν, δηλαδή ας δεν κάνουν. Δεν το κάνει το video.
Ναι, αυτό. Η win, ξέρω εγώ, 5 kills.
Ω, θα πεθάνει. Shadow θα πεθάνει, όχι ο Shadow, ο Vergox. Ω, και ο Shadow. Να πεθάνω από κάτι άκυρος, bro.
Ακριβώς θα είναι.
Μαλάκα. Εντάξει, λάρουν, εντάξει, κομπλέ. Τρέχουνε τα μουλόπανα.
To win this game if they want to dodge that LCQ, which anything can happen here. We've seen it happen before in history, so it's not out of the ordinary. 125 Sniper Dune Avenger.
Ο Avengers θα ψοφήσει από ζώα.
And this is kind of scary. If you see that two of the teams, Max and his duo, landed Wonky Land. They qualified, so you got to watch out for any other teams, Cop, that intend to land Wonky Land in the grand finals. And if Avenger and Sniper Dude actually qualify as well, we could see multiple teams landing at Wonky Land in finals this season, unless anybody has a change of heart.
Yeah, that'll definitely change things up as far as the overall narrative is concerned here. We're gonna get there first. See how it ends up playing out. I mean, and yeah, again, talk about the next 2 heats, right? Like someone's gonna, multiple teams, I'd assume, is probably gonna fall out of the Wonky Land. So I'm surely expecting a contested finals, if you will. But we'll see. You know, things always shake up, right? Like, who really wants to fight Clix anyways? Seems to think twice.
This is a fight we've seen a few times throughout the day. Both of them in a similar situation of having to win this game in order to qualify for the grand finals here and now. You can kind of see the situation that they're in. They're not far away from zone. Sus Studios even has the mending machine for the HP if they are lacking anything. It's just about how you're going to get out safely. One of the biggest hurdles in a lot of these teams' game plan is how they're handling Surge when the zone rotates so far away.
Yeah, and Day's team just has continuously fought inside the storm, so it's all trouble there. Meanwhile, the other team I talked about, Ver and Barney, just on the outskirts again, looking through that glass window, trying to break in, trying to see what they can get done here. Atlas and Slays are off though. That team takes off here, so they actually have 5 elims. Okay, so Atlas and Slays are playing some good Fortnite.
Taking that north side of the map, kind of working their way down. Kind of what we've seen throughout the majority of the day. 43 points, again, another team where we can kind of see the storyline unfolding right before our very eyes. If they're going to make it to the grand finals through heats, going to need a big win. And where the zone is kind of going, I have to make sure I kind of see it fully, but it seems like it's going to be a sort of center zone. You see Dark Dominion there just outside the edge of the zone, so it does have a western lean, but for the most part, as of now, it is centered up. Still 8 zones to go to pull these players around. As you jump on board Ryan and early 104 points. You know, they were inside of that bubble throughout the majority of the day, but going down early in that last game put them in this position here. Just luckily for them, they still have 2 win conditions.
Here's this fight going down for Shadow and Virgo. Fast, furious here to go ahead and try to finish up the elimination off the previews. Off to the races right now, running through the outskirts, but no, Virgo gets caught in the crossfire by other duos that were watching this aggressive chase happen here, and what looked like a perfect way to set themselves up for the end game here ends up turning forced to double back here. What happened?
Και ο Twitter πέθανε.
Kind of by that stat, you know, they lead the lobby in damage dealt, but also in damage taken. The duality of the sword where sometimes you can make a lot of big plays happen, but sometimes you get stuck like that. It's Rogue, Spear, trying to break in the box onto Jojo Fishy, and they do get the elimination. That's big for them.
Jojo Fishy, no?
Or they were up until they were able to pick up the loadout. Shadow going back for the reboot over towards Humble Hills, runs into a whole nother team, but not just one. It looks like 2 overall.
I was gonna say, but you know, for Shadow Virgo, they have nothing to worry about. They know they have enough points, so it's a much different level of pressure. It was actually Phoebe who was still there. Shadow just putting shots down, just letting him know he's not messing around. Meanwhile, he finds a solo he was originally engaging on, and you know he's gonna come back and like look to finish it, but instead he says, all right, I want to play this game out. We still want to win. We gotta respect them trying their best here. This is good.
Bro, το κάνει τίποτε εκεί.
Trying to see who's all looking the way. Maybe Fabio, Broken and Sandman.
Πεθάνε στον αέρα, μαλάκα. Έτος ο Πρίζη και ο Φάμπιο.
Σου λέω να τους να
πάνω στο βουνό είναι. Πάνω στο βουνό είναι. Πάνω στο βουνό τώρα, δεν ξέρω. Κάπου εκεί είναι.
So even though we might have some questions about their loot, what is it going to look like, how they're going to get it, they're at least giving themselves a shot at getting back together as a duo.
I think Phoebe ends up falling too, but look at this.
Ox πεθαίνει.
Rotate right into Rogue, FNBR, and Spear.
Θα πεθάνει ο Ox.
Although they were caught off by surprise, Oxy gets finished.
Έχει πεθάνει, βρε, τώρα.
Δεν ξέρω εσύ στο YouTube πόσο μπροστά είσαι. Κάτσε, θα το κάνω μία τέτοια. Μπας και μου το... No.
Ritual rotating in 205 points. They're basically going against Blake, Preston, Shadow, and Virgo for the number 1 team.
έκανε quality ritual, τέλεια.
No, game on today, but you're kind of seeing the
Ο Ritual, bro, πιστεύω θα κάνει και quality για τα Championship και το σκέφτος που θα πάνε στο μέρος, κατάλαβες.
Για τα finals.
Όχι τα finals αυτά, ενώ finals αυτά που πας σε ένα μέρος, κατάλαβες. Πας σε αυτό το μέρος στα championship.
Εντάξει.
Και εγώ δεν το κάνω τα κουβάλια. Κοίτα, είναι 60% πιθανότητες να το κάνουν. Εγώ έτσι πιστεύω. 67 σφαίρες έχει ο Shadow. 6-7. 6-7.
67 και
67 σφαίρες έχει κι ο άλλος.
Ο Βέργκος.
Ο Βέργκος.
Και ο Σλίπς 47, 47.
Έχει 6-7 build όμως ο Sleepsy. Όχι, τα χάλασε.
Και πρώτον πάει πέθανε. Κάτσε, refresh leaderboard ξανά.
Αλλά τι spray του κάνουν εκεί πέρα στο boost.
They go from 500 to 438, but that is over 2 full health eliminations here.
Ready to jump in on box yesterday. Like, it is getting late. There it is. Nice little knockoff for Tony. We have another opportunity here. They go for the down body first.
Ο Φάβιο ακόμα ζει.
Κάπου τον είδα τον Φάβιο.
Get them out of the fire, though.
Πού είναι ακριβώς. Καλό θες. Καλό θες.
Another team getting greedy right here.
Ω, πάει.
They're gonna push out of the box. They're gonna sit back and blow through what's left of
Να
their
το
heals.
Φάβιο.
This might be
Έλα πάρτε το
a
refresh ρε Φάβιο, μπράβο ρε μαλάκα. Καλά και ο Sleeps και ο τέτοιος έχουν κάνει. 162 έχουν. Έχουν κάνει νομίζω.
Τώρα είναι 127 είναι.
Ναι, τώρα είναι όλοι μες στο game ρε. Όλοι καλοί. Όχι, όχι, όχι. Μη φάτε το πρέζι, το πρέζα. Πάτσα με 120 στο πρέζα. Μαλάκα, θα πεθάνει. Κολόφαρδος. 67 HP.
Ο Sleeps πάει να πεθάνει.
Ο Sleeps 167 points. 6-7. Πάμε Φάμπιο. Όχι Φάμπιο, μην πεθάνεις.
So interesting how it works. You take that damage and all of a sudden you're
Fabio, Fabio, 6-7, Fabio, 6-7.
They're still in the race. 169 is impressive nonetheless. They could again be inching their way up to what might just be the bar, right? They're almost setting the threshold potentially here.
Τους έκλεψαν τα βρακιά.
Can they get more points? There it is, a little bit more placement points. They're still in this right now.
Yeah, that cushion, they just need to continue to do that. Either eliminations or
Πάει, αυτοί
taking
θα
out
πεθάνουν,
the
ο
full
Sleeps.
team, 'cause 61 below.
Ο Sleeps θα
Toronto goes down.
πεθάνει.
Storm Surge doesn't take him out yet.
Τόσο μιλώ είναι μπρο,
Good
κοιτάνε.
job on the slip to do
Άλλη
that.
και
Get
πάλι
the
δεν δείχνει,
tags
θα
in.
πεθάνουν.
Storm Surge actually turns off
173
against
έχουν,
the player,
εντάξει.
but Slips realizing
Τώρα
I
μπορώ να πάρω,
cannot
να,
be the
όχι,
hero
το
of this
σώσαμε.
situation. I just have to get more points. I think he made a wise decision here.
Αλλά και πάλι τώρα πέθανε τη mate του, πες. Οπότε εντάξει.
Ο Sleeps το φλατσάει.
67 builds είχε για λίγο.
All he has to do is just maintain life, choose life, and earn points here now.
Ο Blake πέθανε.
Πέθανε, καλά να πάτε μπάσταρος.
Εντάξει, και πάλι κουάλ έκανε.
Πρέζ. Πόσα kill έκανε ο Πρέζ. Όχι ο Πρέζας, ο Πρέζ.
17 kill έχουν τώρα.
Έλα Φάμπιο, δεν σε βλέπω αλλά εύκολα
Ναι,
είναι.
πεθάνω 17 kills. 231 points. 231 points έχουν. Και είναι το παίξει ο Blake.
Εντάξει. Έλα Φάμπιο μπρόζει ακόμα chill.
Πόσα points έχουν.
Άμα
πεθάνω.
πεθάνει κάποιος ή ο Φάμπιο ή κάποιος μην μου το πεις, οκ.
Ναι, οκ, δεν σου λέω, εντάξει. Έλα, δεν ξέρω.
Ο Φάμπιο μια χαρά είναι. Δεν σου είπα να μιλάς, αλλά δεν κατάλαβες. Αν μου λες, α, ξέρω εγώ, το αυτή...
Δεν σου λέω το leaderboard, εντάξει, δεν θα το λέω το leaderboard. Εντάξει.
Δεν είναι αυτό.
Για να μην κάνω spoil.
Έλα Φάμπιο, σε παρακαλώ πάρ' το win. Τώρα το qual πόσο είναι τώρα έτσι μπορεί.
Πόσο κάνω 145.
145. Μόνο με win τα παίρνει ο τέτοιο. Ο Φάμπιο. Πού είναι, δεν τον βλέπω. Α, όχι, τον βλέπω νομίζω, ναι. Ένα τους. Όχι, πάει ο Πρέζας. Έλα ρε Πρέζα. Έλα, Φάμπιο. Έλα ρε Φάμπιο, έλα ρε Πρέζα.
It's all on his shoulders. We've seen Rise contend for FNCS championships, and now he's trying to contend here just to make it to the actual finals. 147 points. If him and Curly figure out a way to make it through and qualify here in Heats, you gotta give him a big thank you. But everybody else still not letting go. Creon, Dragon, over 200 points. They find another elimination, just crushing dreams in their path as they make it up the side of the mountain. Angels reach out to give up high ground, but only for a moment as they re-chop it down. That's Prez who has to give it up, but up goes Skidler, up goes Kai, and they're ready to challenge as well.
This is like a worst case scenario, right? The teams that are on the line getting this win, pushing you out. He's the only one left alive right now, so it's not looking good for Skittles. He's got no match. 6 teams remaining. Meanwhile, Javi and a minute. If you're everyone else in the lobby fighting for a consistency spot, this is what you want a team that is dominating so that a position opens up, so that the threshold is a little bit easier. And Skittles is still in the running right now. The opportunity here to earn some points. They got Agers on the backside here to come down to.
Και ο Ρίτσουαλ, εγώ βρίσκομαι το Ρίτσουαλ. Αλλά και με το Σκίτλερ για να κάνει quill Σκίτλερ.
Popping off right now here. It's
his
όχι τον Agers. Α, καλά να πάρεις μου να πάρω.
Even taking down a Minish, that could have been a fight for first place by itself, but Javi's still alive. Dragon and Creon still alive.
Νομίζω έκανε κόλλο
Everybody in this game
Ναι,
is over
έκανε.
200
Όντως
points, so
έκανε.
somebody at the bottom of consistency has just been gifted a slot, but for Javi, it's about first place. For Dragon and Creon, it's about making a statement. Shockwave coming out from down below can't cause too much confusion as Javi does get shot down finally. A chance to fight toe to toe as Creon goes up. He takes a huge punch, drop down to 46 HP. Javi having to do the same thing, sacrificing storm damage just to get to the front side of the zone. But it's running out. We're going up the mountain. Pressure coming out from Dragon and Creon as well. He's going to need a miracle to survive this. Javi with the shockwave, and it's not going to be enough. Creon and Dragon not only win that game, qualified for grand finals, but definitely put the leaderboard to the test.
Nicely done for them, and once again, if you are someone who was fighting for consistency, Jacob, you're happy, you're smiling. You're saying, oh my God, thank God someone with 200 plus points took that victory royale there. Well, for us here at the Deathmatch Raps,
Creon Dragon.
over there, Z.
Εδώ.
Το πένα.
Είναι Creon Dragon επειδή πήραν το τελευταίο
win. Σλίψη top 2. Noise top 3.
Τέλος, μάλακα sleep. Οκ. Πολύ sleep. Πολύ κοιμούνται.
Ο Max αυτό τέλος πάντων top 4. Μπάκι έκανε qual, ο Τσελς έκανε. Blake έκανε. Ο Βίσκα έκανε. Ο Ρίτσελ που είναι.
Moving and grooving, and now they give themselves a victory royale. So there's even more credibility to it, which makes me excited, right? Because then we take it to a finals lobby, and it's like, okay, yeah, I remember them back in Heat 1. They were kind of
Virtual δεν έκανε νομίζω. Όχι, έκανε Virtual.
Not only are they pretty experienced veterans, but they got a fourth and a third place as well throughout the day. So that victory royale within their grasp throughout the 5 games that we saw, and for them to finally get it in the final day, that is how I want to wrap things up for my Heat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was not
Vixals.
in there at the end at all. We kind of saw the chaos happening towards the higher ground, and somehow Creon and Dragon, they were the ones that kind of ended up being a healthy team. Not only the team up on the high ground, but also somehow healthy.
Δεν μπορώ. Ciao, bye.
Ciao.
Αυτά από μένα. Αυτά. Ευχαριστώ όσοι ήσασταν μέσα για τη στήριξη, για όλα. Πώς έχει συνέχεια θα τα πούμε αύριο, ίσως σήμερα τέλος πάντων. Πάω να κοιμηθώ όσο προλαβαίνω γιατί πάει πρωί, οπότε ναι. Θα τα πούμε 6 ώρα με EU Day 2 και ίσως NAE. NAE αν έχω κόσμο, αν έχω και όρεξη και αν μπορείτε κι εσείς, θα δούμε. Αυτά. Much love σε όλους, φιλάκια, Μάγκης, God bless America.